the chagrin of my body that could have been working out, Sterling, or doing really anything else, and then watched yesterday's game while father-in-law was watching the Reds game, had the College World Series, and so I was watching the Royals. But I'll be honest, my attention was as split yesterday watching a Royals game as it's been in a while, when I just, look forward to just sitting down and watching some games. And we talked about this, Sterling, that sometimes, when they were playing the way that they were playing, it was like your days were surrounded by, all right, hell yeah, the Royals play at 7:10, like leading into that Guardian series. It was like, man, I can't wait for this Guardian series. And I am dreading Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Guardians. I have no idea what they're going to do against the Marlins the next 3 games, but that Guardians series looks like it's, they're walking into a bloodbath, right? It's the Red Wedding they may be heading to. That's from Lord of the Rings. People know that. That's definitely from Lord of the Rings.
I do know that.
That's that reference.
Yep.
No, sorry, that was Season 1, Episode 8 of The Bear is the Red Wedding.
No, yeah, you're right.
No, White Wedding. That's Billy Idol. You're thinking of White Wedding by Billy Idol, I think.
No, that's the cover that they did in Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler. So we'll get there. We'll figure those things out. But, man, I dread watching that series this weekend. And there's an element, Sterling, where I'll be watching the games the next 3 nights, just sort of waiting for something bad to happen. And that sucks that the Royals are playing like this, because it harkens back to a time of, the last 7 years watching Royals baseball. And it was so much fun to not have to do that, to watch and think, man, something good is going to happen. It seems like it was a lifetime ago when they won 8 straight games.
Yeah, this is not ideal, some are saying. Dude, it's so frustrating to watch a team. They've been shut out 3 of their last 7 games. Shut out 3 of the last 7 games. And you don't even feel comfortable when they do score runs because the bullpen is atrocious. So every single game, you're white-knuckling. There's no more of this late-inning comeback heroics, it feels like. That seems like yesteryear. The entire offense, no matter what, everyone can't get on base. You're seeing Q try and switch the lineup up. Maikel Garcia being dropped down. Nick Lofton, all of a sudden, now that he's in the one hole, all of a sudden he decides that he forgets how to hit the baseball. Also, no longer does he want to walk. Vinny is still mired in a atrocious slump, his 3rd, 4th of the year. Bobby Witt Jr.'s been solid still, but, 0 for 3 last night, obviously, because basically everyone was 0 for 3 last night. MJ Melendez is one of the only guys who's starting to really, I think, turn it around, which is somewhat interesting to think. Salvador Perez is now all the way down to 280 when he was at 340 just probably about
340
about a month ago. Dude,
Food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
I honestly thought at first, Dylan, that I heard the cop car, and I thought that was Jason, and I'm like, he's in Louisville right now. They're going after Scotty Scheffler. They're going after Scotty.
That's right. I need to go drive by today and take a picture of where it happened. I need to go reenact that on my way home today.
Yeah.
From the office. Yes, I should absolutely do that. I thought it was there. I thought you guys had like the door open to the balcony, to the deck area, and there was a cop or something that was around there. I was like, well, maybe you got to shut that door. No, I'm very much inside of an office. I will not see the sunlight until this show is over, so it's not like the view that you guys have. I have a view of 3 walls and a window that goes to another room that has, nothing but just walls in there as well. So I don't see
I get
the light of
Dylan's
day,
face,
which is fine.
Jason. I get Dylan's face, and it's glorious.
I'm staring at a TV that is off, so it's a reflection of my face, and it's not. It's not glorious. It's not.
That's my normal
look
view.
Away.
That's my normal view, and that's why I'm always.
I get it.
Looking
I get
away,
it now, Sterling.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand. It's scary. It's like, why do I look like that when I'm talking? Do I always look like that when I'm talking? Weird. The listeners say the same thing. Why are you looking like that while you're talking? But yeah, I thought the police siren was over there for you. But yes, it does feel like that. It does feel like pets or heads falling off, and that's too bad right now. But like, I do want to push back a little bit on something that you said there, Sterling. And this is just total semantics, and I think it's sort of the point of where we are right now this year. I don't think Vinny's in his 4th slump. I think Vinny had 1 hot streak.
Wow.
I mean, I mean, how can we call it like his third or fourth different slump this year when this is who he's been outside of that stretch of baseball from what, April 30th to like May 10th when he went from 208 up to 256? Because since then, he's now down to 230.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that was a hot stretch. We're like, all right, this is Vinny. And since then, he's been sort of the guy he was before that. And there have been a couple of days mixed in. We're like, all right, okay, he's swinging. And then I just feel like this isn't really his third or fourth slump. I think he had a hot stretch and then a smaller little hot stretch, because we wouldn't say that like Hunter Renfroe or MJ, and yes, different players certainly, but I don't think we would view that as those guys are going through their third or fourth tough stretch. I think we would look at it and go, what's the anomaly so far this year? It's the hot stretch, unfortunately, for Vinny. And that's something that, you know, he talked about being as healthy as he's been, Sterling, in spring training coming off that shoulder injury. And there was certainly a lot of hope of what he could be as your number 3 hitter. And, you know, your number 3 hitter for this team is you know, OPSing at 714. Like, he's not a 300 on base guy. And he's getting on base at 313 right now.
Yeah, and you look at to me, the most fascinating Vinny Pasquantino just numbers in general are the actual numbers are just atrocious for him, right?
Yeah,
like
for him, right.
If this was Hunter Renfroe or MJ, OPS in 715, we're thrilled. But for Vinny, your 3 hitter, the guy that the Royals counted on probably second most behind Bobby heading into this season, you're sitting here going 231, 313, slugging 402. That is, quite frankly, just not good enough. The defense has been much improved, although, of course, he had the error last night. But the underlying numbers, which I know people are just going to be banging their head against the wall, the underlying numbers for Vinny are actually pretty damn good. Like, you look at the approach, you look at how hard he's hitting the ball, you look at the hard hit percentage and just the way, the expected batting average and the expected slugging numbers, the expected on base percentage, and you're looking at a completely different player. I think the Royals are sitting here going, well, throughout 162, he's going to bounce back. Eventually, water will find its level. But you're right. I think it's a good way of looking at it. He's had one hot stretch that's buoyed what has otherwise been quite frankly, a really, 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 really bad season overall for Vinny. I think one that no one saw coming. We all expected 2022, 2023. We saw the injury, and we used that as an excuse. But even last year, in the limited amount of games, the 247 average isn't good, but the OPS of 761 is still serviceable. This right now for Vinny is, again, something needs to change. But again, you look at the underlying metrics and you sit here, well, do you want to change anything?
Yes. And here's sort of, I think the first month of the season, maybe first month and a half, I think I can look at some of the underlying numbers and see what the expected batting average, expected on-base percentage, et cetera, what those things may be, and go, all right, this is going to turn around. But I think when you get, 300 plate appearances into a season and, 260, 270 some odd at bats and 75 games into the season, I think at that point you go, okay, here are the expected numbers, but why aren't those reality numbers? Like, okay, he's hitting the ball hard, he's doing this, he's doing that, but the ball's not falling in. The ball's not, and he's not walking nearly as much as he did. And when it looks like Vinny gets a hold of one to, like, if Vinny doesn't pull it to right field, if he hits it hard and it's not pulled to right field, I think it's just going to be a fly ball out somewhere. Like it just, it's not to where you look at Salvi where he can go to right center, opposite field to a degree, and you're like, that might get out. Bobby, same thing. If Vinny's not ripping it into right field, I feel like, well, that's an out right now, and that's not the way that Vinny Pasquantino is supposed to be playing. And by the way, this is not all on Vinny. It just happens to be something that you had mentioned about Vinny in a little bit of a slump, and it sort of sparked in my mind. I'm like, I don't know that that's the case. I feel like he had a hot streak. So this is not all on Vinny. It's a symptom of the bigger disease. It's a symptom right now with this offense of a bigger disease in that so many different guys right now are struggling, but also so many guys in this offense don't necessarily have the ability to turn it on and play at a high level for a long time. Outside of a Bobby, a Salvi, we were hoping a Vinny. We were hoping, and there's a track record with a Michael Garcia not playing like this. The other guys, it's like hot and cold streaks. Those things are going to happen. but the main guys have to be the main guys, right? And that hasn't been the case as of late in this 26 games that they've played where they're 8-18.
I want to go back to your point on Vinny and just the power, for example. All 7 of his home runs have been almost dead pull. Like almost dead pull.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. You look at all the doubles, they're all down the left field line, left center.
Right field line? Right field line, right center, you mean?
No. The doubles. They're not getting out, is my point. The only balls that he can they can get out are to right field. There's 0 home runs. If you look at the 387, right? 387 in right center at Kauffman. They're all right. Every single one of Vinny's home runs are right of the 387 at Kauffman. Not ideal. Anything left of that has either been an out or a double.
I see what you're saying.
And for a guy who we all expected to be able to hit the ball any which way, right? Hasn't really been the case. You look at even his 2022 spray chart when things were going well. He pulled every single one of his home runs, a few more into center field / right center, but he hit a lot of singles to left. I mean, a ton of singles to left.
That was with the shift that was going on too.
Correct.
So he was pretty good at going that way.
And right now, you're looking at the spray chart, and this is a guy who's almost predominantly pulling the ball for hits and not a lot of power. For a first baseman, your 3-hole hitter who's batting .231, that ain't gonna fly.
Yeah, his last home run was against the Padres on June 1st. He's had 20 doubles this month, but just the one home run as you talk about. But again, it's an element of the entire team. The reason why there's a little more, I guess, focus on, the struggles of Vinny and, Salvi over the last, few weeks of going from 330 down to 280, and Bobby's struggles since hitting the home run against the A's and struggles. It's 3 games, and he was playing down in Dallas, and the whole offense was struggling. And I think there's an element of Bobby in there going, I've got to be the one, right? I've got to be Neo here. I'm the one that has to come through every time. And so 0-2, it's one thing to work the count, but I got to get on base. I got to get a hit. It's not just getting on base. Like, I got to get it to a gap. I got to hit the ball hard to get into scoring position, and then hope maybe somebody can drive me home, whether that be Vinny or Salvi. And that hasn't been the case as of late. It's those guys at the top of the lineup, and it's not even the top of the lineup anymore because Michael Garcia is batting 7th and 8th the last 2 games for him. So he's been dropped out of that leadoff spot. And now the question is, all right, if you need a leadoff hitter, okay, well then have it be Bobby Witt Jr. be the leadoff hitter. You maximize the number of at-bats he's going to get over the course of a season. But in Major League Baseball, we see that your very best player is now put at the your very best batter is put at the 2-hole. Put him at the 2 spot. And I think before Frazier was taken out of the lineup yesterday, Sterling, it felt like there was a lineup that they put together to try to create some guys that might be able to be on base ahead of them that also didn't clog up the base pads, because you don't want to do that with Bobby Witt. You want to let him run. But if they, ending the lineup with Garcia, Blanco, and then Frazier leading off, in theory, it's 3 guys that could be on the base pads ahead of Bobby that he can drive in. But also, if he drives them in, it's not Velasquez at first. And he hits a double or something that could be a triple, but Velasquez, it's rookie of the year where Rowan Gardner's running so fast and the guy's on his back and he's like, andale, andale. I don't think Bobby may say that to Nelson, but just right, not the inverse of the conversation. I don't think they want to have guys that are clogging up the base paths that are, Renfroe and Velasquez batting, towards the end of the lineup if that were to be the case. But the problem with that is then Sterling is those guys aren't getting on there in front of Bobby Witt. He's coming up to bat with no guys on base. It's just a really bad stretch right now, and I don't know how they get out of this except for keep playing baseball, and hopefully they can get back to the team that they were when they were scoring 5.3 runs per game, because now they're down to 4.5 runs per game on the season. And that's because this 26-game stretch, they've been just over 3 runs per game.
Yeah.
And the 26-game stretch I'm going to, Sterling, the significance of that is it's 26 games since the 8-game winning streak. When they went on that 8-game winning streak and they were scoring almost 6 runs per game. I mean, it was like the offense was going, and we were saying, see, this is what happens when the offense can play like this with the pitching and the defense behind them. This is what this Royals team can look like. And since then, they have been outscored by 39 runs. They're averaging, barely over 3 runs per game, and now they've gone 22 straight innings without a run. This is what it looks like when the offense completely disappears. Because it's one thing, Sterling, to be upset and annoyed at the bullpen, but you can't blow a lead if you never get one. See, that's the smarts of the Royals now. Oh, you want to talk about how bad the bullpen is? Cool. We can't even blow a lead if we don't get one. It's that meme of the guy pointing to his head. It's just smart. And that's the issue now. It's like there's also going to be a little bit of recency bias, Sterling, in that, okay, now if you go out and trade, what do you need? Well, it was bullpen for a long time because you got to protect the lead. And now it's like, well, you got to get the lead first. So do you need bullpen? Do you need bats? What do you need? And the answer, of course, is yes. But that's how bad the offense is going, is that we're not even focusing on how bad the bullpen's typically been at times this year because they can't blow a lead because the Royals aren't getting one.
Yeah, and then if you look at Q, he's trying everything right now, and I think that's one of the things that's kind of interesting is there shouldn't be, and there hasn't really been any blame for Q because we're sitting here going, he's nothing to manage right now. The bullpen as a whole hasn't been good enough, so it's not his fault when he calls on a guy and the guy blows it. Q can't go out there and pitch. And offensively, he tried moving Michael Garcia down and trying Adam Frazier up there. Adam Frazier was a guy we talked with Les about a month ago. Is that a guy you put on, in the leadoff spot because he does take a lot of walks typically? Didn't work. He's tried, Nick Lofton. And my thought was, yeah, you put Bobby Witt Jr. second so you can drive in guys, right? You want him to get a lot of at-bats, so instead of fourth, you put him second. But that way there's hopefully still someone on base. So that way it's not a solo shot if he's leading off. Well, now I'm sitting here going, it's a solo shot if he's batting second, so you might as well have him leading off. Give him the opportunity to get the one extra at-bat just in case. I know the Orioles have been using Gunnar Henderson as a leadoff guy a lot. Mm-hmm. Why not do it with Bobby Witt Jr.? Because you're just taking at-bats away from your best player because right now it's going to be a solo shot either way because the dude who's leading off is not getting on base. And I pose this question to you, Jason. Do we need to go back to Drew Waters?
I mean, that's the thing is like, I think looking for help is not saying that's an answer. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you say, hey, give Drew Waters a shot, I think the skeptical immediate reaction is, oh, yeah, like that's the savior. No, it's the same way I feel about Michael Massey. It's like, okay, get Michael Massey back in the lineup. We'll see what it looks like then. Right, Michael Massey's the savior. No. But if I'm $10,000 in debt and somebody's going to offer me $2,000, I'm not going to turn it down because I need $10,000. So yes, it's not the total answer, but can it help me get to the answer? Yeah. So Michael Massey in the lineup does not make you worse. Okay. So let's see what happens with that. It makes you better. He's better than Lofton and Frazier and whoever would be playing second base. Okay. He helps the lineup. It's unfortunate the timing of Hunter Renfroe's injury because he was starting to swing a pretty hot bat. MJ Melendez, has actually played, pretty well as of late. He's doing more than just the random home runs from time to time. And that's, nice. He's been a guy that has been, going back to the beginning of the A's series. It's a small sample size, but MJ's batting almost 300 in the last 6 games. He's 5 for 17. At the plate. And he broke up the perfect game for Max Scherzer yesterday as well with the double. So he hasn't been the problem.
And defensively.
He had been a problem for a while. Yeah, right. Yeah, good point, too. I love the highlights that they showed yesterday of like, hey, look what he's been doing this year out in left field. Like he's making some plays. So he hasn't been the problem as of late. If Massey gets back in, you wish Hunter Renfroe, didn't get injured when he did because, as I mentioned, there's that unfortunate timing of it. But I don't know what the other answers are, and I don't think it's Drew Waters because I think, Sterling, they told us that it's not Drew Waters because when he came up for Renfroe, he didn't play every day. And the Royals, it wasn't that they were trying to hide him so that other teams wouldn't think that he's just a 4A player. I think they look at it and say, he's a 4A player. And he's not the answer for us. Even when Renfroe goes down, we're finding other solutions because just simply putting him in the lineup, he is not carrying over what he did down in the minor leagues. So whether it's an answer, a solution, help along the way, whatever it is, they have to find something because I think they're in danger now in this next week of really starting to sink instead of, tread water. This team is now swimming. I mean, they're 6 games up in the wild card. It's like, yeah, they're not in first place in the Central. They're a few games out behind the Guardians, but they got a 6-game cushion. Well, they're 9 games out behind the Guardians, and they're no longer in the playoffs right now. They're a half game out of the 3rd wild card spot with the Red Sox winning yesterday. So they've lost all of that over the last week and a half or so. And so, yeah, it's a concern of don't just start sinking, which they are, but I mean sinking further and further away from the wild card spot. And these 7 games, 10 games at home, it's a 10-game homestand, and they've typically been better at home. Cross your fingers, hope they can do that. But this 10-game homestand is crucial, and I think these next 7 games are vital because you've got 3 against the Marlins, okay, even though they're 4-1 in their last 5 games. I mean, the Marlins started off June 2-12, and now they're 4-1 in the last 5 games, and they've won a couple of series. Oh, best of luck to the congratulations. Perfect timing or whatever if you want to look at the glass half empty type view. It's still the Marlins. And then the Guardians. Starting on Thursday, a 4-game set. And I dread that now while I was pumped and looking forward to the previous Guardians matchup. But there's no excuse pitching-wise, Sterling, for the Guardians matchup because they will have, in 3 of the 4 games against the Guardians, they will have Waka, Reagans, and Lugo going. So if there's a 4-game set that's going to set up pitching-wise, this is a good one. They've got 3. If the playoffs started and the Royals were in a 5-game series, their 3 starters would be Reagans, Lugo, and Waka. Okay, let's see what happens starting on Thursday when Waka goes to the mound. And then it'll be Marsh on Friday, and then Reagans and Lugo after that into the weekend. The next time we talk, Sterling, on a Monday, next week on a Monday, I'm fascinated by what that conversation is going to be because I think these 7 games are vital for this year more than some other 7-game stretches because the Marlins you should beat, you are better, but you're playing bad baseball. You're playing bad baseball right now, so it's not looking at it and going, well, you're going to beat the Marlins because you're playing terrible. And then the Guardians are a team that will beat you down and demoralize you if you're not playing good baseball and they come in for a 4-game set.
Jason, the A's got the Royals right now. I'm not comfortable in anything. I'm not comfortable if they play my softball team. I'm going to be nervous. Like the Royals are playing. They're not playing some ball right now. The boys are not playing some ball. We talked about earlier treading water early in the year, and we said they weren't just treading water. They were Michael Phelps out there, right? They were phenomenal. Well, now it's you and I swimming against the Olympians. That's what the Royals look like right now. This is what they looked like last year. I'm nervous, man. Like I'm thoroughly nervous because, again, I hate talking underlying numbers because you got to win. You got to eventually put something to paper, pen to paper. You talked about Vinny and MJ Melendez getting out of his season-long slump. It's nice. It's solid, but it's not like he's been absolutely phenomenal. I want to give him credit defensively because we talked to Les about that, and he's now become an average to, quite frankly, some metrics paying him as a slightly above average left fielder. Like MJ's done a great job defensively, but it needs more than one, and it's just. I know we're talking about Waka and Reagans and Lugo against the Marlins, but who pitched against the A's?
Against the Guardians.
Oh, against the Guardians, but who pitched against the A's?
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah. I mean,
it didn't go so well.
It was Marsh was one of them.
Okay, but Reagans and Lugo.
I know, but he gave up the 7. But again, Marsh will be pitching on Friday. So it will be Marsh, Reagans, and Lugo will be the weekend starters Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We get Waka on Thursday to see him, which is nice getting him back in the rotation. It helps. We're talking about Waka instead of, all right, this 4-game set, you got Daniel Lynch on Thursday. Ugh. And then hopefully Marsh looks more like he did this outing in the Yankees than he did against the A's. Hey, and then you get Reagans and Lugo.
And you get Singer out there. Then Brady Singer out there, too.
Right. But I'm with you with the Marlins. That's why I said the 7-game stretch is because last week we said, hey, they get the A's now. You can't say that against any team right now because they survived getting swept to the A's by winning 3-2 and Bobby Witt having that home run in the 8th inning on last Thursday. They survived that. So there is not a team that you go, okay, thank God they're playing this team now. That's why I think this 7 games is crucial, because they are better than the Marlins, but the way they're playing, they're not playing better than the Marlins right now. So these next 3 games, and then the 4 against a team that is better than the Royals, that you're looking up at, that has an opportunity to really kick you while you're down, or an opportunity for you to go, I ain't heard no bell. This weekend, like this week to me is incredibly crucial, because you've got both sides. You're better than the Marlins. You're not as good as the Guardians, but you're playing some bad baseball right now. So what do you do? How do you break out of it? And maybe just getting back home and trying to flush this, road trip, which was brutal. You go to L.A. for 3, you go to Oakland for 3, you go to the Rangers for 3, and in those 9 games, you end up winning only 2 games. Like, you go 2-7 on the road trip, you get back home and go, all right, let's reset, let's start over day by day, right? Today, the mantra, the shirt, today, that's the only day that matters. All right, let's see what they do today against the Marlins with Cole Reagans on the mound. We'll find out, against a guy that's got almost a 6 ERA. Does that help the Royals offense? A guy with a 6 ERA? We'll find out. It's the stoppable force against the movable object. Who comes out on top? We'll find out. We need to take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more zone right after this. I want to talk about J.J. Piccolo's comments yesterday on MLB Network Radio. We'll get into that. We'll talk some Chiefs football today, because looking at Pro Football Focus, they went through individual positions in the NFL and ranked them, and we talked about a few different positions and players in those positions for the Chiefs that they ranked, and now they're going through units in the NFL, positional groups in the NFL, and I want to talk about one of the rankings for the Chiefs and what that means for that particular group of players. And of course, it's Game 7 tonight. Game 7 in the Stanley Cup.
Let's
Edmonton
go.
heading to Florida. Let's go Oilers.
Yes.
Let's do this, man. Let's get it done.
Why
Edmonton.
Oilers?
I want to see
Because
history.
I hate Southern. Because one, history, and I don't like Southern hockey. I don't need the Lightning in Tampa. And
Hey,
I don't
I'm
need
Team
the Panthers
America.
in Miami.
America, bleep yeah.
Okay, that's fine. If it was the Red Wings or the or the Flyers or the Bruins or
Penguins.
something, okay, that's fine. Penguins, yeah. But I just, something about hockey in Miami, I can't get down with it. Let's see what the Oilers.
They already
can
have
do.
it good enough. They're in Miami. They live
Right,
in Florida.
yeah.
They're at
on.
the beach every day.
I didn't know I was talking to some communists over here. Canada? Come on.
Why
We're
are we
friendly with
communist,
Canada.
eh?
Yeah, we like
we
Canada.
like Canada.
Communist, eh?
I like Canada. I mean, they
Hey,
have milk in bags.
I appreciate you telling
and,
me that about what you think of me. I'm sorry that I feel that way, eh?
Go
I
Oilers,
do
eh?
apologize. I feel that way. It's just
no,
how I feel.
like,
I don't mean to offend you, you know?
I thought we'd all be united. I thought we'd be United States of America. It's the United States of America. Florida's part of
Sterling,
that.
you're making me feel bad already. It's just my opinion that I have. I do apologize about the way that I'm making you feel right now. It's how I feel, eh?
You got a little Scottish in there. I like it.
I know.
that was-
I rolled an R for a second. I don't know why I did
Rory.
that. I don't know why. Great. Yeah.
Visit Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway this summer for exciting live sports action. We've got the biggest screens around, and ESPN Bet is live in Kansas. Plus, Pin Play Rewards members can win up to $500 pin cash every week. Visit pinplaysports.com/cover5 today and register for your chance to play and win. Not a member? Get the Pin Play app today. Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway is your live sports headquarters. Bring your crew for all the action. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700.
go into next year and you go, man, it'd be nice since we're much better this year. Maybe we're, you said the front office, like, man, we're leading the division this year, but we made those moves last year, so we don't have those chips to move anymore. We got to find it somewhere else. I don't think you want to be in that position for this Royals team. So how aggressive can they be? To a level, but I don't think that even as exciting as this year has been, I want to see them add. But this Royals team has a more of a depth in the farm system than high-end players. And I'll give you examples, Sterling. The Mariners have 5 players in Keith Law's top 50 in the minor leagues. 5. 3 of them are shortstops. Will the Mariners miss a shortstop if they were to trade him for a really good player? If the Royals and Mariners are going after the same bullpen piece and they go, oh, we'll trade you one of our top 50 guys that's a shortstop, like a stud or whatever, bullpen piece. And the Royals like, well, we're interested. Or, Lewis Robert from the White Sox. I'm just throwing a name out there. How many players do the Royals need to get to in their farm system to equal one top 50 player in the Mariners when they've got 3 shortstops in the top 50, and they won't miss one of them unless that guy becomes like, Ellie De La Cruz or something. But you got 3 to choose from in your farm system. You build it that way so you can do what the Mariners can do this year. Like, you're talking about debilitating the depth if you want to match that.
Well, and what I'm looking at for the Royals specifically here is going after guys who, you're completely correct. That's why I don't think they get a Mason Miller. I don't think they even get a Tanner Scott. They're not going to get a Luis Robert. What I think is you have to look at guys who also have team control after just this year. You can't just, as you're mentioning, go all in this year and then all of a sudden you're screwed. The Ben Zobrists, if you will, the Johnny Cuetos don't make sense for this current iteration. But a guy like Taylor Ward, who has 2 more years of arbitration left, okay, that makes sense, right? You have team control for 2 more years. Let's say Michael Kopech, a guy that I've been going after, right? Because I think you can actually acquire him and it won't cost obviously near the same as a Tanner Scott. Is he as good? No, he is not. But he also has 1 more year left, 2025, of arbitration, right? So those are the guys that I think the Royals need to try and target. I know Michael Kopech actually has been a guy, the name that has actually been going through the grapevine as far as Major League Baseball and some of those sources say, if you will. But that's what I think the Royals need to do this trade deadline is if you are going to give up some of your depth in the minors, which I'm 1,000% okay with, you got to get a guy who has 1 year at least more of arbitration under contract, because if you go just for the Cuetos and the Zobrists, I don't think that's going to really move the needle, because are you really going to compete with the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Braves, the Phillies, the elite of the elite? Again, I know that would be the World Series, but the elite of the elite teams, even the Orioles this year, I really don't think so.
Yeah, and what's it going to take to compete with those guys? And if you do get players with more years of team control, it's going to cost you more. So it's
Agreed.
Now you're going into that system, a little bit deeper, and it depends on, who you go and get. You're not trading Nick Pratto for Taylor Ward. Okay, so
No.
Blake Mitchell, Gavin Cross, and a couple of other pieces. You're like, all right, are you willing to do that? I mean, is Taylor Ward over the next couple of years, is he going to offer you that much better than what you're getting from Renfroe now? Like, yeah, he can, but is he offering you that much over the next couple of years that would be worth it, as opposed to adding this offseason and then making a move next year for somebody else? I don't know. That's on J.J. Piccolo. I think there's a level of aggressiveness they can get to, but I think there's also a level of aggressiveness that would just simply be irresponsible for, the work they've put in the last couple of years to even try to get to this level of farm system. And thankfully, Gavin Cross is playing much better baseball, and Blake Mitchell looks like, worthy of a top 10 pick right now. Luckily, those things are happening, because if not, we wouldn't even be talking about the depth of the farm system. It'd be like, how can you trade anybody? You've no ammunition here. We need to take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, wrapping up this hour. In the next hour, we'll get into some Chiefs football. Get into some hockey Game 7. Also, the College World Series Game 3. So a couple of deciding games tonight. Winner take all in some series. So Tennessee and A&M tonight. Should be a fun one. Watched both those games the last couple of days. And certainly I will be in front of a television watching Game 7 tonight as well. 913-912-4810. We'll get into some of your texts. We got some Chiefs news that we'll get into that was actually something I was going to talk about today. And they go ahead and do what I had been wondering why in the heck they hadn't been doing for a while. We'll talk about that coming up next.
To Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, hanging out here on this Monday edition of The Zone. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810. Text line to join us coming up an hour from now. We'll talk with Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast, get his thoughts on some of the things we have been discussing, the offensive inefficiency, the anemic offense, 22 straight innings without a run scored. That is the streak they are on. So we'll talk with him about that. Some of the trade discussion, too, that we talked just briefly about with J.J. Piccolo's comments at MLB Network Radio yesterday. So that's Josh Kaiser coming up at noon, and then Nick Schaefer at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director, Learn Funniest and Best. Sterling, Dylan, do you guys know who Lonnie Phelps is?
Former Jayhawk defensive lineman, correct?
That is correct. Well done. Do you know why he was in the news?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. I bring up Lonnie Phelps because that was going to be the jumping off point for a conversation that we were going to have today as just head scratching, not knowing what in the hell is going on with the local team that we cover. So Lonnie Phelps, former KU player, that's not the story here, so I don't want to hear about that. But Cleveland Brown is what he is. He was arrested and charged with misdemeanor DUI and property damage. He wrecked his car into a building of a restaurant while, under the influence. He was arrested. He was charged. He is a practice squad player for Cleveland. Has not played much. Signed a reserve futures deal in January. And after this news came out, the very next day, Cleveland cut him. The very next day, Cleveland cut him. That's Cleveland. They traded for Deshaun Watson, Cleveland, okay? And they released Lonnie Phelps. So that was going to be something that was going to be a jumping off point for me to ask Sterling and Dylan and whoever else out there in the world, what in the hell is taking the Chiefs so long for cutting ties and moving on from Isaiah Buggs that so many people, when the story about being arrested for the mistreatment of the dogs, said, who? Who's this guy? I don't even know who he is. And there are people that around town like, I'm a huge Chiefs fan. I don't know who this guy is. And that's because he never played for the Chiefs. He was on the practice squad. He signed a reserve futures deal, which is why I bring up the connection with Lonnie Phelps. It was an easy thing for the Cleveland Browns to do. Let's move on from this guy. He might actually be competing for a job. Doesn't matter. The guy got a DUI, and they said, no, thank you. We're going to move on. Easy enough. Isaiah Buggs is a guy that many people had never heard of. And this guy was arrested back in May for the malnourishment of the dogs that were on his property. And then on June 16th, today is not June 17th, okay? June 16th. It happened on a Sunday, last Sunday, that he was booked on June 16th on a second-degree domestic violence charge, and a second-degree burglary charge was released on $5,000 bond. He's accused of dragging a woman who's the mother of his child down the stairs of her apartment. That was last Sunday. So my question was going to be, what in the hell is taking the Chiefs so long? This seems like the easiest thing in the world, all right? They've had to, they're standing by Rashee Rice, right? Let the whole court system play out. And we've talked about that when you have a player with talent, okay, you sort of have to weigh things. That's just the world we live in. And that's talent of any degree, in any walk of life, in any business, in any career, whatever it might be. Rashee Rice, a little bit different. But if you're looking for a PR win for a team that's had a pretty rough offseason, this is the easiest thing. This is the free space and bingo. It's there. It's easy. The guy, people barely know who he is. Why in the hell does it take 8 days for the Chiefs to figure out that they got a guy who's been accused of malnourishing dogs and accused of dragging the mother of his child down the stairs and has been arrested twice since May, and it's been 8 days? Like, what could they possibly be getting around to before they have to inform this guy that nobody knows who he is, who won't make an impact on this team, to say, get the hell out of town? Like, why does it take till today to do that?
Yeah, I understand letting the legal process try and play out, and, accused versus innocent until you're proven guilty, all that stuff. But when you're arrested twice in a span of however long it was, a month and a half, right? Sorry. No. Again, you're right. Practice squad player, it's not even worth the PR headache. Yeah, I honestly, I do understand the trying to wait for the legal process to somewhat play out, just to make sure that dude is actually guilty. I do understand that to an extent, but 2 times in a month and a half, at some point you're sitting here going, it just isn't even worth it. Like, it is not worth the headache. There's obviously something here. Obviously something is here. Putting yourself in a bad spot, like that, no. I'm shocked it took as long as it did. You're completely right. Yeah, I was perplexed by this, but I'm glad at least it finally happened, even if it did take as long as it did.
Yeah, so May 29th is when the story came out of Isaiah Buggs being accused of the cruelty to animals and the malnourishment to the degree that one of the animals had to be put down. So that was the story that came out in late May. And then June 16th, not only accused, but charged, arrested, charged. Not just, well, he's been accused, they're doing the investigation. He's been charged with it. And even if they were waiting for the, well, we're waiting for if he's actually charged for this or that, like Lonnie Phelps, he got arrested, but he was charged for that. Yeah, the charges came that day. The charges came that day with this. I don't understand for an organization that is battling the perception that they are more cavalier with off-the-field concerns, with guys that have character concerns. This was an easy layup. This was an easy win to say, no, we aren't just going to, look the other way to a certain degree or delay and hope that things change and cross our fingers. And we're not just a team that's going to ignore some of the issues going on. The Rashee Rice thing in college that Andy Reid said, we felt comfortable enough with the information that we had to draft him. They signed Charles Omenihu, somebody who was suspended because of domestic violence allegations last year. That was the Charles Omenihu suspension, was because of that. They sign him and bring him in. This is an easy one for them to go ahead and just say, we don't need this guy around. There's no reason to be. Look, are they a team that cares less or weighs less the character concerns than some other organizations? I don't know. Maybe. I know every single team has a sliding scale about how much you will allow, will take, will be able to absorb a particular player getting arrested or getting into trouble, depending on that person's ability. I mean, we are talking about the Cleveland Browns, and it's not like they are a shining example. They're not the beacon, that's shown how you handle things. They traded for Deshaun Watson. That guy's a predator. All right. So them by, releasing Lonnie Phelps, to me, is a degree of, hey guys, this is a layup. All right, this is a layup for us. All right, we got to move on from this guy. DUI, yeah, it's bad. We just need to move on from this guy right now, even though their starting quarterback is their starting quarterback. And the Chiefs have an easy layup here, and they didn't take it. And I think, it's one of those things to where, never criticize somebody for taking too long to do the right thing, because they eventually did the right thing. But this is concerning because what could possibly be going on for 8 days for them to figure out that this was the right thing to do, for them just to simply move on from Isaiah Buggs. This adds to the element of, do the Chiefs really care all that much about character concerns by some players? Because it's one thing to say, well, we're doing the investigation with the dogs thing. There's some questions here. I don't know what's going on with this. We're going to let this whole thing play out, right? We're going to figure these things out. And then another thing with the domestic violence allegation that's there for a guy who's on your practice squad, who people don't know, who's not going to make an impact this year for the Chiefs. This was an easy layup, and they blew it. And yeah, they eventually got around to it, Sterling. But this to me adds to the common theme that is out there, whether true or not, of, do the Chiefs weigh character concerns all that much compared to some other teams that are out there? This was an easy one to go, yeah, we do. It just depends on everything's an individual basis. Well, then your explanation for 8 days later would be, fill in the blank, please.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing. I think he should have been gone, but I wonder if the Chiefs are also saying, hey, okay, we had the Tyreek Hill situation, and it seemed like things weren't as what everyone thought originally, right? So they're sitting here going, okay, well, we had that happen. Let's wait a little bit. Let's take a chance to breathe. We all see this right now. We see the headlines. We're pissed. It's the initial reaction, right? But then with the Tyreek Hill situation, again, it didn't seem like things where they initially appeared. What was it, Terrence Shannon for Illinois? Right?
Yeah.
They let the legal process play out. He had to miss games. Things weren't as they appeared. He was cleared. Trevor Bauer, to an extent, kind of a similar thing. I think there's some more, obviously, circumstances there, but I just wonder if the Chiefs are sitting here. We had the Tyreek Hill situation in the past, and we let that process play out. Again, Tyreek Hill versus Isaiah Buggs, completely different, and that's obviously going to have different circumstances, as you're saying. Talent and the headache are Tyreek Hill at the time was the best wide receiver in football. You're going to try and let that figure out. When you have a practice squad guy, PR-wise, fair or not, at some point, if you're a practice squad dude, if you are a future reserve deal, you don't get the same time. You don't get the same backing that a Tyreek Hill was going to get. Fair or not, that's just the way of the world. But yeah, they did the right thing, but it took them way too long.
And with Tyreek Hill, I think there's and some of the circumstances different in the timing you had been around particular player. So Tyreek Hill in Kansas City since 2015 when they drafted him, and from all indications in 2019 when this whole thing started in the spring, late winter, early spring, whatever it was, that timing when things came out, and as you said, didn't end up looking like what they seemed initially, and there were a lot of jump to conclusions that took place, and the Chiefs handled it the way that they did. What they had said behind the scenes was that, hey, these are things that are being said about Tyreek Hill, but since we've been around him and he's been in the organization, he's been nothing but stand-up. What we see from him on a daily basis, he hasn't gotten in trouble. There hasn't been any other allegations that are out there about any, law breaking or stepping in the wrong thing. Like, he's been a good player and good in the organization, and he's been great around other family members and everything. Like, this seems out of character. We're going to let this play out because when he tells us this and this, there's a level of trust that has been earned over the years, and we will take him at his word right now until we find out that he is lying. And turns out taking him at his word was the right thing to do because there were others that were lying. There was other manipulation that was going on at the time to try to paint and create a certain picture. You don't have that with Isaiah Buggs. Your relationship with Isaiah Buggs is, going back to January. That's it. I mean, this took place late May and now in June. So you've known him, 4 months before these two things happened? These two incidents happened? You've known him 4 months? That's not 4 years. Like, I can understand if you're saying, look, we've been around this Tyreek Hill guy, and he's been a good dude, and this seems really out of character. For Isaiah Buggs, is it out of character? I actually don't know his character. He's been here a little bit, but maybe it is. But I don't think we need to wait around and find out if it's out of character or not. We'll let another team figure that out. Because I doubt Isaiah Buggs gets another job anytime soon. He's a practice squad player that now has these two things. You're bringing in a guy that's been accused of animal cruelty towards dogs and domestic violence. That is, if those two things happen, that's a terrible human being. That is somebody that doesn't really care about other people. And that's not somebody you want around your organization, especially when he's not giving you anything. There's no exchange for you having to take that hit. You're not getting, a great player. It was it Jimmy Johnson that told a backup running back to Emmitt Smith or whatever it was? It was like, I'm going to treat you fairly, but I'm not going to treat you the same.
Yep. Jimmy had the scale. Is if you do everything right and you're a great player, you're at the top of the scale. If you're a terrible player and do everything wrong, you're at the bottom of the scale, and then everyone in between. Yeah.
I'm going to treat you fairly, but I won't treat you the same. Okay, I'm treating you fairly based on what you bring to the organization. And by the way, that's life for every single business or career that you are in. I'll treat you fairly, but not the same. You're bringing in no money to the company in sales. This person's bringing in a lot. And you made a mistake there at the Christmas party with one of your boss's, family members. You're fired. Well, that guy's number one in sales. Well, he had a little too much to drink. All right, we've worked it out. We've hashed it out. It's all good.
Who hasn't had too much to drink one time, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, come on. It happens. You know, it's not a big deal. We've talked. We've met. We've squashed it. It's all good. I'm going to treat you fairly, but I won't treat you the same. This was, I don't know, it seems like a misstep because now they're doing what they ultimately would have done a week ago. And I don't know how much it's playing. I'm not on Twitter right now looking at it, and nor does that really matter because Twitter isn't real life. But I do think, right, wrong, or indifferent, there is a perception that the Chiefs are a little more cavalier than other organizations when it comes to off-field concerns.
It just doesn't teach. I mean, like, look at Rashee Rice. What should he think? Well, I'm already a really good player, so I have this much leash because he has this much leash as a backup defensive tackle.
As a practice squad guy
Exactly.
that's on a reserved futures deal.
And here's the thing, too, like, by being this dumb and not setting a standard with such an easy layup, Jason, you miss out on someone that actually could have brought in really good culture in Calais Campbell, who took a vet minimum salary to chase a ring with the Miami Dolphins in June.
Yeah.
So you could have cut him in May and then got right into talks with Calais Campbell, had a better locker room guy. He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yep.
And he was taking a vet minimum salary, and he's a really good defensive tackle.
Oh, that's gonna hurt, Dylan. That one right there, just you had a knife, you put it in me, and then you decided to say, you know what? I'm gonna twist.
And that's getting marked.
I'm gonna twist. What?
But
I mean,
What did I say?
that was-
Why do I
that was an
always get
obvious one,
marked? I
Sterling.
feel like I
mean,
feel like I don't deserve this.
But that's what I just Calais Campbell was right there. He was right there, and you're just messing around with this guy. Like, you aren't going to play him clearly, and even if he does, it's in an emergency situation. And they have $13 million in cap space too, so that would have done absolutely nothing, and really would have changed the culture, and got a better sense and a feel through minicamp than just this hanging over our heads. We don't know what Isaiah Buggs is going to be. Well, we know what he's going to be. He's cut. He's never going to be on a team, and we have Calais Campbell. But instead, we're trying to prove that we were right. That's what they were doing. They didn't want to be proven wrong. They didn't want to, have egg on their face. They wanted to come out and say, well, we were right. The dog situation was a lie. They were trying to get him out of what was the excuse? They're trying to get him out of town because of his hookah lounge. I mean, my God, what's going on at that hookah lounge? Like, why are they trying to get that out of town?
That's a very good point.
And it's just it's such a fumble, like you said, Jason. That's what's frustrating is that you're the best team in the world right now, and you look like the Atlanta Falcons as far as team building, as far as how dumb you were in this situation.
Yeah, the Campbell thing is interesting because that's a disappointment on both fronts because, he can still play. And I thought he was retiring, to be honest with you. Me too. And until he signed the deal with the Dolphins. And he's come out and said that he was contemplating retirement or signing another deal. And, the guy went to Miami in college and then went to Miami here from Atlanta and took a really team-friendly deal. I wonder, does he take the same friendly deal to join the Chiefs?
But I would have paid the Kansas City tax because the Kansas City tax over the Miami tax, I would have paid it for this guy.
Yeah, but he's making. By the way, he's making $2 million this year. That's his contract.
By the way, do the Chiefs look at any other players on the market, or do you think that this was a non-starter to begin with because they brought back? I mean, I get it. I know it's a reserve guy, and I'll give you some names. I don't think the Chiefs are going after any of these dudes, but just some guys that are currently on the market. This is just defensive line in general. Emmanuel Ogbah is still out there. If you want to have a nice reunion with him, Carl Lawson is still out there. The Chiefs will not be able to afford this guy, but Unique Ngakoue, surprisingly, he is still on the market. Charles Harris, MIZ, is still out there. There's a few guys. Wow, Al Woods is still in the NFL. I thought Al Woods.
He's out there?
Al Woods, 37 years old, still out there.
I mean, I'd throw money at that guy. I mean, it's better than what we have now.
I just think, like, from a defensive line standpoint, like, to me, this isn't even about, like, hey, how do you replace this guy? You replace this guy by another no-name person.
Right. Sure.
Like, Xavier Reichert, that's on the practice squad.
Right.
And by the way, I just made that name up, because nobody knows. If I'd have named Isaiah Buggs, it wouldn't have mattered.
Okay, it did though. I was a dumbass that had high hopes for Isaiah Buggs when the Chiefs got him from Detroit. I'm like, y'all better watch out. Isaiah Buggs is going to be a problem.
I just saw it more.
And
as
he was a
that
problem.
We had the one issue with the defense last year was like everyone's issue was stopping the run, because everyone started to run the football in the postseason. And our interior line, because Chris Jones can't do it all by himself, so it did feel like that was the one issue that we had last year with a good defense. And that's almost why I thought they were kind of trying to make this work, was we need depth at this position. And you could have just, again, signed a vet early off in the offseason.
Find somebody
just
else.
a really
He's not
dumb.
gonna,
It's more just dumb. I mean, obviously it's stupid as far as keeping someone like that on your team through all this. It's also just dumb team building. It really is.
Yeah. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. I do want to look at a positional group for the Chiefs, as there's Pro Football Focus out there that had the individual player rankings at different positions, but now looking at overall units and where the Chiefs stand in one particular one. And I'm wondering if this is the correct assessment. Are we underrating, maybe overrating some others? We'll talk about that on the other side of the break. And, of course, Game 7 coming up tonight. You can listen to it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, the Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton traveling down to Florida to do something that hasn't happened in the NHL since 1942.
Curtis had a great tweet this weekend.
What was it?
He had the paper from the last time that a team just made Game 7 after being down 3-2, and it was a World War II update. It was something that made me realize I was a nerd, because I was showing it around to all my friends this weekend, and everyone was like, "Wow, that's really awesome," in the sarcastic tone. So, but
neat. So we are going to go out for drinks, but that's fine. I mean, if you are going to sit around and look through microfiche to find some more newspapers,
some old news articles, yeah.
That's cool too. We're
gonna do a puzzle later as well. So
we're gonna watch Lord of the Rings. I guess if you're too busy, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone right after this.
All right, Heartland.
All right, look, I've told you about my friends over at Heartland Men's Health and what they've done for me with low testosterone. And if you are dealing with... o'clock. We talked a lot of Royals in the first hour. We'll talk with Josh Kaiser coming up at noon. You all right?
I forgot.
That's nothing to sneeze at.
I have a, that's good. Way to save me. I was just being a dumbass. I forgot that my mic was up and I didn't press the cough button.
Forgot that I was in radio. Turns out the mic is on.
Well, I was away from the mic. I was a good 6 feet away. I was.
Were you worried about getting germs on the mic or the sneeze coming over the radio? I guess both of them.
I'm on your mic, and so I saved. I brought my mic cover for you, but
let Jack know that for later on.
I was aimed in the corner. Okay, I was in the corner.
Okay, good.
And
nobody puts baby in a corner.
Well, I guess if you're going to call me baby, that's a little weird, but yeah.
Josh Kaiser comes up at noon, One Royal Way podcast. A lot of Royals in the first hour. They get set for a 10-game homestand. And look, getting swept by the Rangers, it's the first time this year. If you're the Royals, you just, a little hawk to a spin on that thing and just move right on to the Miami Marlins coming in town tonight. And then Cleveland.
Brother, no, we're not going to gloss over that. Are you serious? You're not going to mark that one, Dylan? You're going to mark all the things I say and not mark that one from Jason? Are you kidding me?
What are you talking about? I'm just talking about that you got swept and you got shut out a couple of times. You just want to move on from that, right? That's all I said. Just move on.
Jason, I feel like you're too old to know that. I feel like you shouldn't be. You're on a bad part of Twitter. If you're knowing that, you
I'm on. It's not a bad part of Twitter. It's every part of Twitter. It's the number one trending thing.
Spit on that thing.
I didn't know he had the audio. Oh my God. Oh.
Hey, what do you do, Dylan, when you there's a pitch close? It's a 3-2 count. And you don't swing.
Oh no. Do you?
I don't know. I lost it.
Are you what?
That was an easy layup. There, Dylan.
I know.
Dylan, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Oh man, that was actually used correctly.
Yeah, I actually am here trying to
in common baseball parlance.
Common baseball, 3-2 count.
Yes.
Ball a little outside. Don't swing.
We all miss layups sometimes. I just, that was mine.
I'm Caitlin Clark. Gave you a great pass, and your teammate decided to.
Huck to and spit on that thing.
That's exactly what he did.
There you go. I hit that one.
And you know what? That's what Caitlin Clark's teammates do a lot when she's dropping dimes to him. It's like, here's a pass to you. Oh, wait, look, Caitlin Clark's leading the NBA in turnovers. Let's look at some of those turnovers. Oh, I see some of those turnovers now. All I was saying is that was a bad series. You just want to move on. That's it. You're taking it to a different level, Sterling. And by the way, there isn't a level or an area of Twitter that doesn't involve that in some way, shape, or form.
No. And every TV show and radio show like ours will reference it as well today, too. So we will not be the first or last.
Oh, I wasn't referencing that. I was just simply saying that the Royals have to move on from that series. That was all. That's all I was saying. Yeah, I'm not sure what the reference is that. What a crazy weekend. Because that happens and takes the world by storm. And Travis Kelce's on stage in London performing in the Eras Tour with Taylor Swift. I mean, it's just, there's some interesting things that took place this weekend. One, there's a lot of memes about and songs, like the song Hallelujah that the dude wrote to Haktua, which is a level of brilliance that is pretty good. If you haven't seen it, hey, go check it out. I don't know. And then Travis Kelce being on stage and carrying Taylor Swift, and I love the
you think that what is he? Kyrie Irving and LeBron James carrying Taylor Swift?
No, he was acting.
Physically carrying.
Yeah, he was physically carrying Taylor Swift.
Oh, so like when they carried Paul Pierce out. Okay,
that's exactly
like
right.
That.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Less of a mess, but yeah.
That's a little bit, yeah. No, he was injured. He was injured, Dylan. He was injured. That's all it was.
You're
right. Just injured. That's all it is. But I love that, Taylor Swift and Travis, like watching that interaction, because she's done that skit maybe 1,000 times now. I don't know how many different shows she's performed in the Eras Tour. I'm not sure. It's probably not 1,000. It's a lot, but she's performed that skit so often with that song. And Travis is up there while Taylor is being incredibly serious. And Travis is up there like, hey, everybody, I'm on stage. Hi, everybody. What's up, world? It's me. It's Travis Kelce. I'm on stage. This is fun. And Taylor's like keeping it serious and keeping it cool and calm, collected. And oh man, it is. You know what? It's now past those two lines. You know, like Travis Kelce is now a part of what she does, and the only response would be that Taylor Swift takes Isaiah Bugg's spot in the reserve futures contract.
She's pretty tall. She can get those hands up.
She's
pretty tall.
There was a great tweet of like, I can't wait to see Taylor Swift be the tackle eligible this year and catch a touchdown pass for me. Some Andy Reid draws up.
What's the play call? What's it called? Lavender Haze.
It's got to have 13 in it somewhere. Obviously.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Dave Tobe is getting creative, and he talked about that they have a play where Louis Rees-Zammit does the rugby lateral. He rugby laterals it over to Taylor Swift. You know, just get involved somehow. You know, we can bring this whole thing together because he's the football guy, and the football guy's up there on stage. One of the things that I did in you know really actually notice in a serious moment is a year ago that would have been kind of cool, right? Like, oh, Kelsey's up there in the Eras Tour, and if it wasn't in Kansas City or in the United States, let's say the same place, same situation, same setting, that he's there in London and he walks out and does that, and it might be like in the United States, like, oh, is that wow, that was Travis Kelce. Well, that's weird. You know, I guess he was there, and that's kind of cool that she incorporated him and et cetera, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The fact that the entire stadium in London knew who that was when he walked out there, that to me is unbelievable in showing how much, like a real life example, not just like, oh, we're seeing Travis Kelce's his apparel sales are going up. His percentage, he's getting paid more and more because they get a percentage of all the stuff that's sold. And Travis Kelce is, you know, top 5 and all of the different, you know, apparel and things like that from the NFL. And okay, you know, there's a tangible effect of what's going on across the country and the globe, but to see people in London know exactly who that was when he walked on stage, and to see there was a video that they took before the concert that somebody did cut-ups, and they were showing all of the different Chiefs and Travis Kelce jerseys in attendance there.
Jason, did you notice? My bad. Did you notice?
No, you're good.
The one Jerick McKinnon jersey in that entire
absolutely
that was awesome.
I absolutely noticed there was a Jason Kelce, and then there was a Jerick McKinnon. It was just one random. I'm like, that guy, that's a Chiefs fan that's in London.
He can grandstand.
Not just,
yep.
Yes, not just somebody that's in London that's like, oh, I've become a Chiefs fan through Taylor Swift, or I'm supporting Taylor Swift. I can't buy a Taylor Swift jersey, but I can support her with her boyfriend's jersey. Like that, it's fascinating to see what's happened with him over the last year. That guy is on stage at the Eras Tour in London, and everybody in attendance knows who he is, and they get out their camera and go, "Oh my God, it's Travis Kelce!"
Okay,
is helping out in this skit.
But Jason, I actually have something. I have a legit thought now. The play call from Rees-Zammit to Taylor Swift is now called Fast Orca. Fast Orca. Hear me out. Fast Orca because Swift fast, right? Swift and fast. Okay. Orca because orca's a whale and Louis Rees-Zammit is from Wales, right? So it's Fast Orca. I think we have something here. Or is that too convoluted?
I'm okay.
Am I?
I mean, it's fine.
Did I just
it's probably a little too? I think it's a little too deep there with that. Not in the defensive formation, but you know, or their coverage. But you know, there's probably something more on the surface. Probably something easier, you know.
I thought Fast Orca was
the
damn good.
Shake it, toss.
See, that's just low-hanging fruit. Okay,
right, I know that's typically what these are. Andrew Wiley, the play call was got to catch them all because he likes Pokemon.
Yeah, And fast orca, you have the correlations, fast and swift, and then whales and orca, because an orca's a whale. I feel like I'm just read a book, Jason. Read a book.
That would be if we had already had 5 plays made for them together, and we were trying to find, because what Jason's saying is that they don't even go that deep for it. It's more just they would say swift whales. That would
Eric
be
Fisher was
the
catch
play.
and release, right? Wasn't that?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but that's
What a name.
there's some.
It's Fisher. Fish, catch and release.
Catch and release. Good.
That's pretty low hanging fruit, though, right?
That's some
Because you're
creativity.
catching it, he's releasing. It's a tackle eligible catch and release. There's
Fast
some creativity there,
orca
but it
is a great play call name, Jason.
But I don't think anybody's going to understand what you're saying when you it's fast orca.
It's not meant for
because of
everyone.
Swift.
Okay. It's highbrow.
You could just do a swift
that
whale.
It's for the martini drinkers. Okay.
I guess. I guess that's fine. We're in our Welsh era. All right, there you go. Let's run our We're in. Hey guys, kickoff return, guys. We're going to be in our Welsh era.
All right.
Okay.
So L'Jarius
Taylor,
Sneed,
get out there.
is gone.
Taylor, get out there. Lewis, this is you. It's you and Taylor. We're in our Welsh era.
Here's the
There you go.
problem.
Done.
As soon as Taylor runs onto the field, everyone knows where the football's going. So we got to use her more of a decoy, and we'll just do
Okay.
a bit of maybe a fade to Taylor, and then we'll got it maybe Allegre. Oh, he's not. Damn. I
You
guess
can't
Hampton.
see me,
not there.
Jason. I have my fingers in my eyes. I'm in the disappointed.
Why?
Yeah, I thought that was a
Why?
good play call.
I want to shake off this segment.
Oh, see, yeah, you were just trying to get there. You were trying to get there somehow. Okay, I see what you're doing. You're trying to clown us while at the same time you were trying to get to that same spot. I see how it is.
I smell toast, Jason. I smell toast.
I don't know what that means.
Jason, do you think my idea is better though? With the we use Taylor as the decoy, and then
Yeah.
everyone's going to be wide open because you can't double her and Travis at the same time. You're going to have to pick one.
Is this your Justin Ross? Taylor Swift, this is your Justin Ross?
Maybe it might be.
It's got to be something around blank space, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of
That's a
play
good
call around the blank space.
Oh wait, did they already have a blank space? Oh no, that was Iron Eagles.
No,
call.
that was the call against the Bears
Yep.
by Ian Eagle, and Travis Kelce found a little blank
Yep.
space.
You
there.
nailed it.
Yes. Here's one. Text says they could have Swift come down to the sidelines during the game. Travis runs over like he's going to head off the field, and people are looking at him and sort of the interaction with Taylor Swift, but he's still on the field, and then he runs a deep pattern, and no one's covering him because they're worried about, thinking about the Taylor Swift.
Yeah, the old barking dog basketball play, basically.
Mm-hmm. Rugby Eras 13.
Yep.
13 personnel hak tour.
Ah, there you go. The girl's from Tennessee, so that would be the correlation with her and Taylor, right?
Yeah.
Whenever
I
the
guess that would
Chiefs
be the
play Tennessee, they should be an
They gotta have something.
audible at the line of scrimmage. Is Mahomes? I can't do a
Yellow,
Mahomes
yellow.
voice.
Yellow.
Yellow, white, orange, hawk tour.
Dude, you gotta do a hot to a spit on that thing. You gotta really combo that audible.
Cows, hawk tour. Yellow, ready, wait.
Yeah, you gotta have something along those lines. With that, my goodness, man. All right, we'll take it down. See, that's what happens when the text line just gets us, thrown off of what we were planning on talking about. Mentioning Kelsey being up there, and all I was mentioning is that we'll talk with Josh Kaiser and try to put the Rangers series behind him. That's it. That's all you got to do. But it's a good point about them both being from Tennessee. It's a great point. At least we think. I don't know. There's been two different girls that people have said they have found out who she is. So one of them was like, I think they've figured out that this was not true. but it was a different name, and it was like a girl from Paducah, Kentucky, who was the daughter of a pastor at like the Baptist church there.
Oh, no.
Was the first time that somebody was like, "We found out who she is." We're like, "No way!"
And then they
my
saw
wife
her
was like,
selling merch in Tennessee.
right.
for it already.
My wife was like, "Oh, she's from Kentucky. Damn it!" And I'm like, "No, that's a good thing. What are you talking about? This is great. You know, I mean, come on, capitalize.
Support
Everybody's
the
talking
local
about it."
economy. Come on, yeah.
I just think it'd be a
right, come
great
on.
baseball shirt. I think it'd be a great baseball shirt. That's all I'm saying.
It's a great 1,000 different genres shirt already, probably.
Do you see the Miami Dolphins meme that's out there?
No.
That
Oh,
they
AJ
the
Hawk Tua.
they put a hawk in a Dolphins jersey and put Tua on the back.
AJ Hawk,
Tua.
Tua Tagovailoa,
Yeah.
and that's all it is.
Yep, it's Hawk Tua.
Tony Hawk.
That's right. Nope.
I saw those memes in the bad part of the internet that I was in yesterday that you were referencing earlier. That this is the only place we could find the Hawk Tua, right?
Yeah, only the bad parts.
Only the
yeah,
bad
that's
parts.
right.
Yeah, the Elon parts that have just infiltrated Twitter.
Yes. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We want to get into the positional group. It's the wide receivers. We'll talk about that, the rankings from Pro Football Focus, and we'll talk about where they land. But I want to look at some of the teams around them because there may be an element of carryover from last year. We'll talk about that coming up next. the 1 o'clock hour. So PFF has put out their rankings 1 through 32 of the best receiving corps in the NFL. Now, one of the things that I was going to immediately ask myself in reading this is, okay, so are tight ends included? Because there's always that some people put out, okay, here are the wide receiver groups, here's the tight end group, here's the combination. This is just the receiving core. This includes the wide receivers, the tight ends, and it's thrown in running backs depending on how good some running backs are at receiving the football. So with that criteria, the number one in the NFL, according to PFF, is the 49ers because you have Kittle and McCaffrey along with Ayuk and Samuel, along with Juwan Jennings, who came on strong at the end of the year, and first-round draft pick Ricky Pearsall. So they're number one. That makes total sense. Makes total sense. Miami comes in at number two because the power of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They throw in Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane as a part of that. Philadelphia's number three with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. I'd actually put that one above the Miami Dolphins, but now we're splitting hairs because of Saquon's receiving ability and Dallas Goedert there being much better than Jonnu Smith, and Saquon being better than Devon Achane as a receiving running back. But I'm going down and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling, looking for where the Chiefs come in, and I was a little surprised that the Chiefs come in.
Can we guess,
middle
Jason?
of the pack. Sorry.
Bummer.
I didn't know if you had already seen it or not. Well, you can guess now if you want to.
Middle of the pack, 14.
Ooh, close. That's not. I mean, what if it was like right in the middle?
16.
Yeah, nice job. 16th in the NFL, and it includes Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. What it doesn't have is a running back that, makes a difference in the passing game. And so it's those four players, Rice, Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Travis Kelce. But I still think it should be higher than 16th. Like, for instance, Green Bay is number 14. It's Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Wicks, first name, Dontavian Wicks. Mm-hmm. Romeo Doubs is, pretty awesome too at times, but they throw in Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. They bring in Josh Jacobs as a part of it.
Sure.
But, that's where I sort of think, I don't know how much the running back is skewing things because the Chiefs don't have the running back. I want to see the collection of rankings that includes tight end, but I don't know that I need the running back included here if we're really talking about receiving core, receiving options, and not, hey, this running back can do some things out of the backfield. It matters, but if I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes, I don't really care or need a receiving running back back there. I need guys that are going to catch the football, and I do wonder, where they would be without the running backs included, but also if they're 16th, how much is last year weighing over and carrying over, I should say, and weighing on the minds of those doing the rankings of, they were pretty awful last year. Even if they've improved, we'll move them to sort of 16th. And this is a pretty decent jump for them to even be 16th. And it's on the weight of Kelce and Rashee Rice building off what he did and seeing if you can get anything from Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. And maybe that's why I would wonder, Sterling, is there a level of being underrated just because of how terrible they were last year and how much better they can be this year? But maybe ultimately they are still middle of the pack in terms of their overall receiving options that Mahomes has to throw to.
Yeah, my gut originally when you said this, I was going to say they're probably about 12th, maybe. I think Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice doing the heavy lifting. I don't know if they take in Rashee Rice's suspension into account here, as far as...
It did not.
And that's fine, Hollywood Brown. But as much as I like Xavier Worthy and I expect solid things from him, I think you're sitting here going, that's still a rookie. How much are you going to have that impact these rankings overall? Probably in the AFC West. They're the highest in the AFC West, right? I think they're definitely better than Denver, definitely better than the Chargers, definitely better than the Raiders, unless you are sitting here going, you really like the tight ends for the Raiders, as well as Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. Then I think you can maybe have that conversation. 16th seems a little low, but I don't think it's drastically lower than I expected, I guess.
Well, like Seattle's 10th. DK, Tyler Metcalf, JSN, and Kenneth Walker is included in this as the running back. And if I'm looking at those four, I'm like, well, then give me Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Isaiah Pacheco. I feel like would be right there in line with those guys. Or take out Isaiah Pacheco and put in Xavier Worthy. And if you're looking at those are the four that they use for Seattle, Metcalf, Lockett, JSN, and Walker, one of those being a running back as opposed to Kelce, Rice, Hollywood, and Xavier, and not one of those needing to be a running back out of the backfield, I'd put the Chiefs there ahead of Seattle because there's not a tight end listed here because it's been lacking in Seattle for a while. So
Yeah, Kelce over Walker, that's easy.
no doubt. Josh Kaiser coming up next.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We head up until 2 o'clock. Let's continue. Let's talk some Royals baseball. Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast, is our guest. Josh, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's outside of the Royals baseball part. Life is good.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we do have to find a way to separate ourselves from what's going on with the sports in our lives versus what's going on actually in our lives. The Royals offense, not much going on for this team. What are you seeing from them? Why, they are in this particular rut? Is it the pitching? Are they trying to do too much? Like, as you watch this game, is there a takeaway or something you can glean from what we're seeing?
I mean, really, all I'm seeing is the inconsistency kind of all hit, all the stars aligned, and we all knew that the inconsistency of this offense was going to be a problem. And I think we're kind of seeing the absolute worst part of that inconsistency. This is the lowest of the low in this particular, because there's always been like the staples like the Bobby and the Salvi that have been pretty rock solid all year, and then you have two or three guys stepping up, kind of rotating in and out, and that has not happened lately. And even Salvi has been a pretty solid slump this lately too. So it's just the inconsistency and then everything kind of hitting at the same time, I think. But this is still the same team that has done all the winning up to this point, has been like a top 10 offense in Major League Baseball. So I'm not worried about it just yet. If they did make some changes, I'd be okay with it, but I'm still rolling with them. It's a long grind out there, and we'll see how it kind of rebounds from here.
Is this just going to be a continuation? I mean, we talked about this maybe a month ago, and as we were watching this team, and it was like it had that feel of all or nothing with the offense. They're all hot at the same time. They're all struggling at the same time. They're scoring, 22 runs in 3 games. They're scoring 3 runs in 3 games, and it's just felt like these highs and lows, because it's odd to feel like this offense, Josh, has really struggled this year and has been downright bad at times. And then to see that they have the 6th highest runs per game in the American League, and go, okay, so are we just not paying attention to all of baseball? Which I think there's an element of, certainly offense is way down this year versus last year, but we see it, up close and personal when we watch the Royals every night, if you do. But it's odd to be like, this Royals offense is terrible, yet they are 6th best in runs per game. Is that just a product of, we look at it, they're terrible, and we focus and we highlight the things that are missing, and then when they're scoring runs, it's like, okay, they're finding ways to score runs and win, but we know that this is a hot streak right now. It is not something that's consistent. They're going to have to just simply hold on while that's happening and try to gain as many games as they can, because we know that cold stretch is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that, as far as like weighting like the good versus the bad, and the consistency, like you said, it's not at all consistent, but no baseball team is at this point. But I think some of that is confirmation bias a little bit. I don't think anybody, even if you are optimistic about the Royals, I think there's still a part of most of us that are still waiting for the floor to drop out from underneath of us. So if we see them go, score 2 runs in a weekend series against the Texas Rangers, who are below 500 or whatever, then we're just right. The floor is finally dropping out. The season's over. I mean, all the sky is falling, what have you. So I think everybody is just kind of waiting for that shoe to drop, and they're kind of starting to fall off the bandwagon a little bit in that way. But it totally makes sense, because you can sit here and say this offense stinks, and you'd probably be right. And then you can also say this offense is top 10 in Major League Baseball, and you'd also be right. So it's kind of a tough situation to be able to navigate the waters of what's real and what's not, when the only thing real about this offense is the inconsistency itself. And when it starts to show its head, that's kind of what we get.
Is there an answer? I mean, is this just simply all year long? And I guess, is there an answer outside of trade deadline, looking outside the organization? I know Michael Massey, hopefully, will be back soon, and that will help. but I fear like Michael Massey can be viewed as like Drew Waters. If somebody says, hey, I'd love to see Drew Waters up here, the immediate reaction is, well, he's not the savior. Right, I know. I'd love to see him in the line. I'd love to see, and I'm not, Drew Waters was an example. I'm not saying that with that, but specifically with Michael Massey right now, it's like, I know he's not the savior, but I'd love to see him in the lineup every day. I mean, if I'm $5,000 in debt, I'm not going to turn down $1,000 because it helps me get to $5,000. It doesn't mean it's the answer. It's like, yeah, you're going to get $1,000. It doesn't mean you're out of debt. No, but it does help. So Michael Massey can certainly help, but is there anything else besides like adding and getting healthier for what we're seeing right now? I think they've made a concerted effort to try to get Freddie Freeman in the lineup more. I mean, they're certainly searching. I don't think there's a resting on your laurels and going, this team will figure it out. We're going to keep the lineup the exact same every single night, no matter what.
I just heard you do something that I've done probably 17 times on the podcast and say Freddie Freeman instead of Freddie Fermi.
Did I say?
And
I think it's
Freddie
a real
problem. You did, and I caught it because now I'm
God.
just like I'm very sensitive to it. It's also switching the names of the Cleveland baseball team. I do that way too often than I have any right to. But I don't know. I mean, Freddie Fermi is good. For a backup catcher, he's great. I don't know if he's the answer, but I think the answer kind of lies in raising the floor of the lineup. When Michael Massey is in the lineup, that floor is raised from when it is Adam Frazier, from when, as much as I like Nick Lofton. And when you're raising the floor on this offense, you can kind of avoid those pitfalls that we saw all over the weekend. A little bit more, a little bit heavier, and you can kind of get a little bit more momentum to it as well. I don't want to say the name, but Hunter Renfroe is also being back in the lineup and hopefully being healthy and get him rolling again. Right before he got injured, he was rolling. So if that is the case, and we can raise that ceiling a bit too if Hunter Renfroe's going. So it's all about getting those guys healthy, getting them in rhythm, and then being able to go from there. But as far as outside the organization goes, who are you replacing in the lineup? Are you taking at bats away from NJ Melendez, who kind of seems like he's turning a little bit of a corner potentially? Do you want to try to get Hunter Renfroe less at bats and make him a bench bat? Maybe so. Maybe you're able to weaponize him a little bit more. But it's tough to be able to go out and say, let's go acquire Taylor Ward. Let's go acquire J.D. Martinez. Let's go get these guys if you're not really sure where you're going to play them. So I think that's a little bit of a tricky thing, but as far as like the offense goes, I think we got what we got. I don't know if they're going to go out and get a big name. They've been connected to like Luis Robert. They've been connected to Taylor Ward. So I don't know. We'll have to see what the price tag on those is. But if I had to put any money on it as far as the lineup goes, I would say what we got is what we got.
I think also the difficulty lies in the fact that, we're a month away from the trade deadline. And, we know that there are a few teams that are definitely selling. We know the Marlins are selling, who the Royals will be playing in this series. We know the White Sox are going to be selling. So there are names that are thrown out there. The A's are going to be selling, and those are the names you're hearing about, even, the Angels. And so there are a few teams that you can look at and go, these players would be available. I think what you run into is, I'd love for something to get done right now. It's like, all right, go be aggressive. But we also know and have to acknowledge, and I think, most people do, but we should, in that, a month out, if you want to be that aggressive, the asking price is going to be higher right now. I mean, you're going to have to pay more of a premium to get an extra month's worth of that particular player. And they might be, look, hey, we'll trade the guy, but you got to blow us away in this particular deal, because a month from now we might have a bidding war going on with a couple of different teams.
Yep.
Or the flip side could be, Josh, that hey, you know what, let's trade him right now because come deadline time we may have to just take the best available deal, and it may not be as good as this one. But that's what you run into, is how many GMs and other teams are actually wanting and willing to deal right now, as opposed to just saying, you know what, Josh, JJ, go be aggressive, go make a deal right now, and him going, yeah, no bleep, would love to, but I'm not going to give up our top three prospects for somebody that should cost us our fifth prospect a month from now.
Yep. 100%. And I like that, and I like you acknowledge, like, especially in the NL, there's like 8 teams in the NL that are still within like 2 games of the wild card spot. So you're dwindling those teams down, and you really only have like maybe 5 or 6 teams that are outright sellers at this point. And a lot of those teams stink, and they don't have the players that you want to be able to acquire to come to your guys. So the things got to match up. The team's got to be willing to stay two to tango, blah, 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 blah. But it is something to think about, especially a lot of these guys we're talking about, the Taylor Wards, Luis Robert, all these guys have multiple years of control. Like, they have a season and a half at least, most of these guys that I'm talking about. So that's also something to take into account as well, is these teams might be selling this year, but maybe their GM is J.J. Picola or Dayton Moore, and they're like, well, next year you never know what's going to happen. And sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong about that. So it's definitely a fine line. It's a fascinating dance that I'd love to just sit here and sit in a room and listen into those negotiations every now and then. But it really is a fascinating thing, and there's only so many options out there.
Well, and also, like, I think we view it where I'm trying to think back. I guess it might have been Whit Merrifield, a conversation that was taking place, and it was like, do you trade him right now? Salvi, do you trade him at the trade deadline? You can trade him in the offseason. And with a guy like specifically Luis Robert and the White Sox, it's like, all right, they're going to trade him at the trade deadline. Well, they've got a number of years of control. They got, the contract he's under. They got club options that are there for $20 million. I mean, they can trade him in the offseason, and a team may look at it and go, we're willing to give up a little bit more at the winter meetings because we get a full year of Luis Robert, as opposed to what might have been there at the trade deadline. So it's not like these teams, those guys with multiple years of control, that they have to trade that guy this particular year. They could do that in the offseason. They can do that at the winter meetings, and that's where it's like, okay, go get Luis Robert. Well, he's got team control. Go get Tommy Pham. All right, that's a different story, because the White Sox are going to trade Tommy Pham because he's on a one-year deal, and it's incredibly affordable, with $3 million. So that's also part of this too. Is like, if you're talking to a team with a player that has team control at least through next year, the winter meetings can be an option for that team to want to get a little bit more out of that player in a trade. In that, it's not enough for us. We're going to get more in the winter meetings. We're going to get more this offseason. We'll trade them then, and we'll see what we can do there. We'll take our chances because this deal isn't sweet enough for us. I mean, that's the rental players are different than guys with team control.
Bingo. It's all in those situations. All the leverage is in the controlling team's field. So we're not. I don't know if the system is in the right place, like the big dogs, like the Padres made the Soto deal a few years ago, and the Dodgers system's always been stacked and ready to roll. So I don't see a big splash like the Luis Robert and Taylor Ward. Even I question how much we have in that front to be able to acquire that. But if we had to start leveraging our capital in the farm system, I would probably rather it go to the bullpen, to be honest, because I feel like these long, strong stretches aren't nearly as maximized if the stability of the pitching staff is a little bit stronger. So I really think that if they were going to make a trade this trade deadline, I would rather see it in the bullpen than anything else, really.
And it's really difficult right now to say that because there's the recent history of what just took place against the Rangers. And it's like, yeah, you'd like to have bullpen help, but you can't hold a lead if you never get one. You can't. It's like, well, yeah, that is true. But as we said, like the runs per game, the Royals are sitting at the sixth best in the American League. And the point about the depth of the farm system versus being top heavy, I mean, that's one of the things that I think the Royals are going to run into is with all of the teams that could be in contention for a wild card spot. The Royals now a half game out of said wild card spot. And for the first time in a long time, if the season ended today, they would not be in the postseason. But there are a number of teams that are going to want some of the same players the Royals may be after. And to your point, like the Mariners have 5 players in Keith Law's top 50. Like they've got 5 players in the top 50. The Royals have exactly 0. So it may take like a more of a dismantling of the depth of 2 or 3 or 4 guys to equal what the Mariners can go like, well, we've got 3 shortstops in the top 50. So we can trade one of them, and that would equal what 2 or 3 different guys from the Royals equals, and the Mariners won't feel the hit the way that the Royals would feel the hit. That's an issue that I think is probably bigger that people may not be looking at right now because we're still a month away, that some of the farm systems that have top-heavy players that also are duplicates in some of those positions, easier for them to move on from a higher-level prospect than if the Royals have been trying to build their farm system like this for 2 or 3 years to then go, okay, let's go back 2 years from now so we can get a couple of really good bullpen arms and a left fielder.
Yes, I think that's thank God that Gavin Cross and Blake Mitchell are both having relative success, because if they weren't, then there would be no upside, no top side. I mean, I'm a huge Carter Jensen guy, and I still don't know if he's like that big, intriguing option to be used in the trade market as leverage. And the other funny part about this is everybody who wants to go get these trades done, the people that they use are hilarious, because it's like MJ Melendez. Well, he's obviously struggling. Well, what about Daniel Lynch? It's like, well, he might be intriguing to some teams, but he hasn't necessarily proven like he's going to be a valuable asset to anybody. Who's going to take that on? And it's just the funny that people still think the guys like the Nick Prados, the Drew Waters, the Daniel Lynches, the MJ Melendez still have so much trade value in that, but we don't want them. They're not any part of our organization in the future, but some other team probably wants to give us Luis Robert for Daniel Lynch straight up. That's probably an accurate trade, but it's just a very interesting ordeal, a dance to navigate to be able to make these trades, and I think that's definitely an understated thing that from the outside is tough to really assess how easy it is.
Well, I love the example of Drew Waters, because I go back to when we were wondering why Drew Waters was not being brought up to the big leagues, and he was killing it down at AAA. And it's like, okay, is he a 4A player? Do the Royals believe? Are the Royals trying to keep him down in the minors because they don't want to bring him up and have him fail again, and then now he's not as valuable as a trade piece? And we talked about that a little bit, and then also the follow-up to that would be, yeah, because no other team in Major League Baseball is going to see that and think, oh, no, let's take Drew Waters, like the Royals don't want to bring.
Yep.
And I think when we saw the Royals bring him up, and then, use them a little bit and then not use them, I think we saw what the Royals really believed with Drew Waters, is that they didn't bring him up because they didn't think he was going to actually help them. It had nothing to do with the trade market. They looked at it and said, we know what he's going to be, and he's not going to be better than what we have right now, so we're going to stay with somebody that we feel like has a bigger upside than what Drew Waters was bringing to the table. And it's unfortunate because there was that hope, and maybe it was grasping at straws and trying to cling to some sort of that pie in the sky that, no, Drew Waters can be the difference. Let's just see if you can bring him up and he can help out this team. And the Royals, with their, coaching staff and player development, which is, I think, more respected now than it was a couple of years ago, looked at it and said, we disagree. We don't think he'll help us. And even if there's an injury to Hunter Renfroe, he's not the guy we're just going to bring up and put in right field every day.
No matter how much following, how into it you are, like I get nerdy with this stuff, and I don't know, it's just a fraction of what's going through Q's mind, JJ's mind, the front office mind in general. There's nobody outside this organization that knows this organization better than anyone inside the organization. So we need to, as fans, keep that in mind when we take to Twitter and shoot our takes off. I'm just as guilty as anyone in that front. But it is something to keep in mind that these organizations are better at assessing the skill talent than anyone outside the organization, and especially outside of baseball. I would say that as well. So it is that water situation was one of the more intriguing things, because the OPS looked good, the exit velocities looked good, the swinging strike rate was not good, and the chase percent was awful. So it was one of those things where you look at a Fangraphs box score and he's like, well, he's got a 900-plus OPS. Why isn't he up here? MJ Melendez stinks. And then you go to the swinging strike rate or the chase rate, and you're like, oh, he would do way worse than MJ Melendez is currently doing. So it was definitely a fun thing. And then, like you said, coming into that series and not seeing any of Drew Waters, really. He just had 4 or 5 plate appearances, and that was about it for the week. So I don't know. It's a situation we're in. I don't see any internal options coming up and helping this offense what we want it to be. It's all got to happen with who's there right now, I think.
So last one for you. Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way Podcast, is our guest. This 10-game homestand that's getting ready to happen for the Royals, 3 this week against Miami, and then, to wrap up the end part of this week and the weekend, a huge 4-game set against the Guardians. Not as big as it was, a few weeks ago when we were looking at that 3-game set when the Royals were closer than 9 games out. and then 3 games against the Rays to wrap it up before going on the road against the Rockies and Cardinals. I know sort of expectations and how we think the team is and what we would predict of certain things, but this homestand, these 10 games, as they enter this, knowing the way that they're playing right now, as you look at these 10 games, what would be acceptable in your mind? What would be below substandard, above expectation, a nice surprise? What would the record be there with these 10 games?
I think the only line is pretty hard in my eyes. I think they've got to win 4 of these next 7, especially in that Cleveland series, because I'd argue that this series is even more important because they're kind of tripping over themselves. They're definitely losing ground on Cleveland in the standings, but I think the fan base is kind of starting to get a little grumpy and disgruntled, and right now they still have pretty good home attendance records, and we're starting to really start to get the heat of the summer, and I could really see the home crowd starting to dwindle if they get too far behind out of the standings for sure. So I think they got to send the message with the Miami series, use that as a get-right series to start getting back in rhythm to prepare for this Guardian series coming up, which is huge. The best way to gain ground on the division leader is to beat them. And you're at home, you're in your own house. You got to make sure work is taken care of. So my hard line about anything, whether acceptable or better than average, it has to be 4 wins or more. Otherwise, you start to risk losing the fan base, losing the team potentially, and going from there. So we could really start to steamroll some momentum with more than 4 wins. I think we can get right and get back in the saddle and start winning games again that way. But if we lose more than that, then we're in trouble as a team, I think.
Well, and it's not like we look at that Cleveland series and go, well, the pitching just didn't match up for the Royals. 3 of those 4 games will be Waka, Reagans, and Lugo. So,
exactly
and
what you want.
Marsh will be the other one.
That's the postseason.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be – there's no excuse there of, well, Waka was still out and they had to use – Daniel Lynch had to start one and Singer didn't have his stuff and, Marsh is a 5th starter and they just didn't give enough run support for Reagans. And, no, you got 4 guys on the mound in those 4 games. 3 of them are the guys that you would say would start in a 3-game series for this Royals team in Reagans, Lugo, and
100%.
Waka. So we'll see what happens. And they're playing they're playing a pretty bad team, and it's tough to say, well, now they got the Marlins because, a week ago it was now they got the A's, and that didn't work out all too well
Correct.
for this team.
Yep.
So,
that was not great.
No, Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast. You're always great. We love that we get to talk to you. We appreciate it as always, brother. Enjoy the baseball. Hopefully next week when we're talking after that 7 games that we're discussing here, that we'll have a much more enjoyable conversation. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
Yeah, no problem, boys. Thank you so much.
All right, there's Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast. We will take a time out. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling on this Monday edition of the show. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. More Zone right after this. Thank you to Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast, joining us talking about the Kansas City Royals. We spent the first hour talking some Royals baseball, much to the chagrin of me and Sterling and Dylan and people who have endured the last month of baseball from the Royals. 8-18, this Royals team is since the 8-game winning streak. They are averaging just over 3 runs per game. They are minus 39 in run differential in those 26 games that they have played. That's losing by almost 2 runs per game. And they have 22 straight innings without scoring a run. And Sterling, this is where I sort of try to weigh like what's real when we watch so close to what the Royals are doing versus like the rest of Major League Baseball. And we do this all the time when it comes to like the Chiefs or college basketball, where it'd be like, this team is number 5. Like, how are they a top 10 team? Well, I don't know. Are you watching the other teams that are outside of the top 10 as closely as you're watching this team to have an opinion on them? Or are you just looking at it and going, traditionally, this is what I would think a top 10 team looks like, and you ain't it. Well, this year they might be that. I bring that up because, like, we watch this Royals team struggle offensively, and they are still 6th in the American League in runs per game. They're still top 10 in Major League Baseball in runs scored per game, and that's with the last 26 games. I mean, they were up over 5 before this run of, 100 runs scored in the last 26 games. I mean, they've dropped to number 6 in the American League, and they've dropped to 10, 11 in Major League Baseball. And I think because we watch as much close to every game of Royals baseball as opposed to watching every single game, where it's easier to do, I think, in the NFL when you're sitting down in fantasy football, gambling. You've got, Sunday Ticket, Red Zone. You got all the games that are on that week, and they're separated and spread out from Thursday to Sunday night to Monday night, where Major League Baseball offense is down by a great margin this year. Like, it's bad. Major League Baseball offense is this year. And even with that being the case, the Royals are still, struggling. Like, over the last, what was the stat they put on Bally's yesterday, Sterling? Let me try to find it here. I took a picture of it. I don't know if you had it offhand, but it was before the game even. It was before Scherzer's first pitch. Here it is. MLB ranks in June. Runs scored, they ranked 25th. Batting average, they ranked 25th. Strikeouts, they ranked 25th. Batting average to balls in play, they ranked 28th. That's in June. So while scoring is down in baseball, they're also towards the bottom of that in the month of June.
Yes.
Of scoring being down in baseball. And it's a fascinating thing to look at because it's offensively historically bad so far this year in Major League Baseball. And the Royals, it feels like they have an awful offense, but they're 6th best in the American League because that's how bad offenses across the league have been.
Well, sure, and they were also buoyed early on in the year. How many games were you talking about where they were bat around in an inning, or how many games where they scored 7 runs? And while, of course, that happened, and you can't take that away, how often do they actually need those 7 runs versus them winning 7-1, 7-2? Again, I'm not taking anything away because those things happened. Those stats did happen. But it just feels like since that torrid start early on, and there were how many games above 500, and it just everything just feels and seems different right now. I'm not saying they're for sure missing the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to dip below 500. But when you're looking at this lineup in particular right now, there's not a lot of guys we came into this year counting on. We counted on Bobby Witt Jr. He's done that. We counted on Salvador Perez. Obviously, he's in a slump right now, but overall, he's done that. And I think Vinny was the third guy we counted on. When you have a lineup with 6 or so question marks, maybe Maikel Garcia, with 5 to 6 question marks, and Maikel Garcia, we weren't expecting a stud season from him. We expect him to be an OPS guy of maybe 770, 750-ish. A guy with not a ton of power, good contact, can take a walk. This is kind of what we expected, maybe. I'm not saying this poor, but I don't think we all expected the 7 runs a game to be the norm for this Royals team. We expected them to be some ups and downs, a roller coaster. As I pointed out, this is a very hot and cold offense, hot and cold position group. And we're seeing them. This is what happens when they get into the lows of the lows. When you have 6 dudes that you can't count on, 6 dudes with that much variance, you're going to go through stretches where you'll score and be shut out 3 times in 7 games.
Yeah, this is it's crazy to look at, like, when you talk about, you know, they banked all of those. They banked wins, they banked runs, and so for them to still be 6th best, it is dropping. You know, I mean, we were talking about the Royals are the 2nd best team in the American League in runs per game. Really, the offense feels like it's really struggling, and yet, yeah, because offense is down across the league. But in that 8-game winning streak, which is I've looked at that 8-game winning streak, and then since then, as we've said, they're 8-18 since they won 8 games in a row. They're minus 39 in run differential in those 26 games. They're averaging just over 3 runs per game in those 26 games, and in all 8 of those games, every of the 8 games, they scored at least 5 runs. At least 5 runs. 7 of the 8, they scored at least 6 runs. 6 of the 8, they scored at least 7 runs. And 5 of them, they scored 8 or more. And you look at what the Royals have done since then, and in the last 14 games, they've scored at least 5 runs 4 times. Only 4 times. And the last time they did it was game 1 against Oakland. And you know, they got 7 against the Dodgers. You know, they got 5 against the Yankees in an 11-5 loss. They got 5 against Seattle in the Sunday game where they could have swept the Mariners after going back-to-back games of scoring 10 and scoring 8. And it's like, all right, you know, they just they've won 3 in a row now. They won that last game against the Guardians, the crazy comeback on Friday against the Mariners. They go and win the game handily against the Mariners on Saturday, scoring 8 runs. And they've gotten to 5 just 4 times since then, and they have been shut out 3 times. They've gotten to 5 runs 4 times in their last 14 games, and they've been shut out 3 times in that span. I mean, it's heading in the wrong direction, and I don't know that there's anything that the front office or Matt Quattrero, the coaching staff, or whatever can do right now to turn this thing around, because, like, you know, this isn't an all-in season for the Royals where you need to. This isn't 2015 where, all right, if you're going to make a move a month from now, just make it now. You know you're going to debilitate your farm system to go for it and make a run to win the World Series. All right, that pennant is going to be up there forever. All right, these guys that are prospects, they may never materialize. But that was 2015 when you knew it was sort of all in there. You didn't know what the future was going to be. That's not this year. So you can't just look around and go, well, they're going to make this move anyway, so might as well get it done right now. The Rangers last year, look, we got to go out and get an arm in our bullpen at some point. It's an extra month of Aroldis Chapman. All right, they want Cole Reagans. We might have something in Cole Reagans, but we need this month of the bullpen to help set us on a path to go and win the World Series. And I don't think the Rangers regret that at all, because they won a World Series. And Aroldis Chapman, you know, helped them win a World Series. How much of a help? Even if it was 2% better, it was 2% better by Aroldis Chapman being a part of it. They're okay with that. But the Royals aren't doing that. They're not in that position. They're looking to win on the margins. And you don't make trades in late June by buying. You don't buy in June on the margins. You can sell on the margins in June, but you can't buy on the margins in June. And that's what the Royals are wanting to do. So I don't know what the answer is going to be, except, hey, fingers crossed, let's hope they can get out of this. Let's hope it's a bad stretch where everybody's playing some bad baseball all at once, save MJ and Kyle Isbell. And you can't expect those 4 guys that are at the top of the lineup, or Garcia now, Sterling in the bottom part of the lineup, but you can't expect those guys to be batting 100 over a longer extended period of time. They've done it the last week, but that they got to break out. Bobby's not going to bat 100 for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's happened right now. He's going to get back to being Bobby soon. Hopefully there's guys on base when he does.
Well, this is why we talked about this, and I think it was actually Josh Kaiser. We were talking about how when the Royals were winning, but the corner outfielders and bullpen was still a major concern, we said just because you're winning doesn't mean you have to keep these guys, because you know it's unsustainable. You're stacking wins now, but don't just sit back. We've talked about this for about a month now, and I get it's more expensive, but you would also have less competition, I would have to assume, a month ago going after Brett Rooker. You would have less competition going after Michael Kopech. Nothing's changed, just a lot of the same issues arise, and now your studs are going through slumps. Like, I don't understand this fascination to an extent of, okay, you're winning, which means we have to keep everyone. No, you're winning in spite of the issues that are at hand. Fix the issues then, so then you don't have this where you were 12 games and now you're 5 games over 500. You could have fixed the hole in the boat. Just because the boat is afloat right now doesn't mean it's eventually going to not sink. The boat is sinking right now. You had a chance to fix it, and you decided, you know what? No, the boat's afloat right now. Why would we fix it? Because eventually the hole gets bigger, and you're sucked out of the boat. That's my issue right now, is they're getting sucked out of the boat.
I like that.
I don't know where I was going with that, but I was on a boat.
Floats your boat.
Yeah, I was on a boat analogy, and I felt like, wait a minute, I can do something with this boat analogy. I'm going deep in this boat analogy.
You're on a boat. 913-912-4810. I'm trying to find the stat, the numbers that Saris put out, and it was about the corner outfield spot. And it was sort of discussing the fact that teams seem to be going a little bit more to defensive guys, seem to be going a little bit more in the corner outfield spot to guys that can run a little bit and not necessarily guys that can go and slug to the degree that we've seen them go and slug to. This is the pulled barrel. That's a slugging percentage. Those pulled barrels. Those the bats. But either way, the corner outfield slugging percentage is down by a pretty decent degree. And one of the reasons that people have talked about is that defense is more of a premium now. And they're getting guys that might be lighter hitters in the corners to eliminate some of the gaps, some of the doubles. Doubles are way down to create more singles. The shifts and all of that stuff. It was a great article. I can't find the point, but the point being, like, corner outfield spot, and this is where it becomes like really, really glaring for the Royals. This is not an excuse for the Royals. To me, it's more of an indictment on the Royals, in that they're looking at OPS across the league in the corner outfield spot and how bad it is this year and why, and sort of figuring out why is the OPS down this year compared to others, and looking at different reasons. Yet the Royals still have the worst corner outfielders in the game. Like, that's a level of even greater perspective that's there of how bad they have been in a year when the entire league's corner outfield spot is not typically what we think of corner outfielders.
Well, and Jason, they're not. It's not like the Royals are also like, yeah, we're going to get great corner outfielders. It's MJ Melendez, who's a converted catcher. It's Hunter Renfroe, who has a good arm, and then it's Nelson Velasquez, who's a net negative in the outfield. Like, it's not like they're like, okay, well, our bats are going to be great, but our fielding's going to take a hit, or our bats are going to struggle, but at least we have some stud corner outfielders out there. It's kind of the worst of both right now. MJ Melendez has been their best corner outfielder defensively, and I don't think that's really a hot take.
No, I'm with you. No, he's been good, and that's where it's like, okay.
No, he's been average.
No, he's been good in plays that he's made in some of the highlights that have been there. But average grading out that's there, you would like him to be better, yeah, but who are you bringing in, which is the question of sort of cost acquisition. Who are you bringing in that would be better both offensively and defensively? Are you bringing in somebody that's better offensively, but you lose something defensively? Okay, well, one of the reasons they're struggling now is that they've lost something defensively. They aren't playing defense the way that they used to. Vinny Pasquantino has an easy play that, he bobbles and they get a runner out of it. They didn't have it, hurt him in that inning. But it's like plays like that seem to be easier plays that were being made and highlight plays that were being made that aren't necessarily being made right now. I think MJ Melendez, and maybe it's because of what I thought he was heading into this year, has been above and beyond the left fielder than I thought he would be.
Agreed.
And much better than I thought he would be. And it maybe, looking at some of the underlying numbers or whatever that may be there for how he plays, left field, he's way better playing left field right now than I thought he may ever grow into. Because I just didn't think much about his prospects of playing the outfield, not weighing enough of him switching from catcher to outfield in the middle of the season.
Oh, no, agreed. I am thoroughly impressed with what MJ Melendez has done and his growth defensively, but he's turned into basically an average left fielder. Where I'm not sitting here saying he's turned into a Gold Glover out here is my point. That the fact is that right now, MJ Melendez, as impressive as his turnaround has been, if we're taking all left fielders in baseball, we're sitting here going, okay, he's an average fielder right about now, with over the course of the season, one of the worst hitting left fielders in baseball. Hunter Renfroe, even for his little hot stretch, still one of the worst hitting right fielders in baseball. And quite frankly, his arm, as good as it is, it's not making up for the lack of speed, the lack of getting to balls, especially in a ballpark as large as Kauffman. Nelson Velasquez, he's obviously, as we've talked about, ridiculously bad in the outfield fielding-wise. And he's OPSing, what is that, under 600? Just over 600? I mean, you're looking around here. What do the outfielders do well? Kyle Isabel is a elite center fielder defensively. That's what he does well. He brings something to the table. Dairon Blanco, for as fast as he is, I think we have because he's fast, which means he's good at defense. I think that's completely wrong. He's fast. He's not a very good fielder. The Royals are just stuck here in no man's land. Outside of Kyle Isabel, no one's really bringing anything to the table in the outfield.
Yeah, so it wasn't just corner outfield spot. It was overall outfielders. So I found the number that OPS by outfielders this year is the lowest level in the expansion era. That goes back to 1961. So 1961 to now, the OPS by all of the outfield is 700. The previous lowest was in 1968, was a 709. And this is 700. So it's the lowest OPS combined of outfielders all across Major League Baseball that we've ever seen since the expansion era in 1961. And part of their discussion was there's more, it's not a glitch, it's more of a feature in that we're seeing teams prioritize defense and limiting some of the extra base hits, limiting the scoring of the opponent, keeping those what would be gappers to singles. They're playing deeper than ever. Like outfielders are playing center fielders are playing 11 feet deeper than they did just a few years ago, which is crazy. There's studies that the outfield shifts have been way more impactful than the infield shifts, and those aren't going away. And so teams are adjusting to that and saying, well, if we've got all these great outfielders there and doubles are at a historic low, and the shifts are better in the outfield, it gives them a little bit more time to get there. And if we place them in certain spots that we're taking doubles away, well, then maybe we get a little bit of a lighter corner outfielder that can run and take those doubles away and maybe come in and take some singles away. They're not going to, drive in 100. They're not going to hit 30 home runs, but they're going to keep the other team from getting a bunch of doubles as well. And we'll sort of take our chances with that. It's interesting how baseball has sort of gone that direction. And I wonder if it's an influence of the pitching. If Major League Baseball is going, it's hard to hit pitching anymore, so why don't we get somebody that actually can make some contact more than anything and can play an awesome outfield? And if we got to get a guy that's going to make some contact, put the ball in play against 101 that's got movement, as opposed to a guy that's going to be swinging for the fences and plays outfield and is, tumbling around and, has a subpar arm, but he's going to hit you 30 home runs and drive in 80, but he's going to strike out 250 times as well. Like, all right, what's that worth versus this guy's going to bat 260, 270. He's not going to hit as many home runs, but, man, he's going to cover as much ground as Yellowstone out there.
Sure, and Stephen Kwan is a great example of that. I mean, I would love to have the Royals. 4 Stephen Kwans would be electric. But right now, I will also point out the Royals are destroying the Major League Baseball average of outfielders in OPS right now.
Are they? They're the ones doing it.
Oh, they
themselves.
don't have a single one over. I mean, it is destroying. So MJ is 609 OPS, which is you said 700, right? Is what it is right now. Okay, so MJ 609, Nelson Velasquez 640, Kyle Isabel the highest in the outfield at 641, which we all had, right? Kyle Isabel, highest OPS of any outfielder for the Royals. Yeah,
tried to tell him.
Hunter Renfroe 627. Garrett Hampson, if you want to count him, he's played more second base than. Well, I guess if you count him, he's 699, which I think you're going to take from Garrett Hampson because he's getting on base at a 333 clip and hitting 288. He just hits for no power. And then Dairon Blanco 611. So the Royals have every single outfielder under the league average. They are destroying
which is the lowest
that.
it's ever been.
Yes,
since going back to 1961.
So my point here, Jason, not great.
Not only are they bad, they're historically bad in what is a historically bad season for outfielders.
The fact the Royals right now sit at 42-37 with that ineptitude in the outfield is actually impressive.
Yeah. I mean, now, I don't know how much it's moved by the Royals' plate appearances because so far in the outfield there's 27,201 plate appearances. Small sample size, we get it.
Take a drink.
Didn't Dayton Moore used to say that you know what a player is once he gets to his first 27,000 plate appearances?
I think that was the number.
Wasn't that
was
the
the
number he
number.
always talked about? Yeah, 27,000 so far. So I don't know how much the Royals would move the needle, but it doesn't help that every single person that has played outfield this year for the Royals is OPSing lower than what the league average is in a year that is as low as we've ever seen it, going back to the tracking data in 1961.
Yeah.
So there you go. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling, and we'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1:00. College World Series going on tonight. You can hear that on our sister station on ESPN Kansas City. We got Game 7 of the NHL, the Stanley Cup tonight. You can hear that right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More so next. wrap things up here. We will talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. College World Series coming up tonight. Tennessee and Texas A&M. A big one yesterday for Tennessee, getting the win. A couple of two-run shots in that game. Unfortunately, off of Caden Wilson in that game for A&M. If you're a Tennessee fan or whatever, Dylan Dreiling from Hayes, Kansas, was one of the guys that hit that two-run shot. But a big one coming up tonight. You talk about pitching depth for the Royals and pitching depth in college. All right, third starters. See what you can do. Johnny Holstaff after that. We'll see what happens. Should be a fun one. Hopefully there's some runs that'll be scored tonight. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up next.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, joining us here for the final hour on this Monday. Mick, what's up, brother?
Hey, brother. How are you?
Hey, brother. What? Let me tell you something, brother. I'm fine. I'm all right. Yeah. You doing good? You doing well? You doing fine? You doing all right? Huh?
brother?
It's really hot here. I was thinking about
Is
you
it?
today
Oh,
because I
thanks.
was out
You were
doing
just thinking
stuff
about hot
in it.
things?
Right? I was like, this day is so hot it could date Jason Anderson. That's how hot it is.
Nice.
But I was out
Tell
doing
everybody
stuff in
I'm
it, like
out over my
mowing,
skis.
trimming some limbs, doing some dog walking, some jogging of my own, and I was like, I bet Jason has not set foot outside today.
I set out foot outside earlier today in a place that the high today was 81.
Yeah.
That was in the morning. So
I didn't know you weren't here. It was 96 last I saw.
It's gorgeous outside.
I love it. Thank you.
Yes.
God. Finally got a co-host that's logical. Well, about the heat thing.
Yeah.
Other stuff, not
If
so
you think
much.
I'm not playing pickleball after work today, you're out of your mind. Yeah, I'm going outside. It's
gonna
gonna be
sweat in, right?
Playing
Oh, just
pickleball
nice
after
sweat.
work, you are out of your mind.
Dude, yesterday, what did I do? 18 holes of golf in the morning, hung out at the pool, hung out outside for a while. It was gorgeous.
Did that Friday and Saturday. It's great.
It's not even the high yet. 2 o'clock is when it's going to get up to 100.
Is
You
it getting to
dummy.
100 today?
Yeah, 101.
Bring
Feels
it
like a
on.
10
Well, it's
feels like a 108.
I go by the official airport
okay.
thermometer, which is a little farther north. It doesn't always
so
get
it's
up
at like
to 100.
75.
So sometimes it could be like 101 in South Overland Park. It's in 93 up at the airport.
Well, because we're more south.
Yes.
Yeah, we're more south.
Yeah.
It gets hotter down here. Yeah.
That's how
That's
it
right.
works.
No, the high today is 100 at the airport, but that's not till like 2:51. So you got plenty of time there, Sterling.
Well, it's great because we're off air at that point, so that way we want
Go
it
play
tomorrow.
up by Tiffany golf course right
Yeah?
next to it. Yeah, go play there.
Yeah. Hey,
So-
anybody want to run by my house and water the tomato plants?
I could do it. Yeah.
Mick, you want to do that for me?
Sure. Do
Thanks,
you
man. I
have
really
like a
appreciate it.
sprinkler system I could turn on, or I have to take it out like an actual hose? And...
No, it's actually one of those gardening cans, those metal old-time
Is it one of those
cans.
yellow tractors that like traces along the garden hose, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yes. I set up a huge industrial-style sprinkler system
Good.
that you just have to go over there and flip on for like 5 minutes and then click it right back off. And
Good.
you're fine. You're fine. No, I pulled the hose and left it right next to the garden so that when we have somebody in our neighborhood go over to water they don't have to pull the hose all the way over from the other side of the house. And, so right now the hose in our backyard is strung all across the yard. I'm like, I don't care. I'm making it convenient for somebody that is helping
Here's what I'll
us
do.
out. So
Here's what I do. I
just
will
turn it on,
not water your tomato plants, but I will go to the store and get you some tomatoes and put them in your fridge. How about that?
You know
Boom.
what you should do? Get some
Tomatoes, you got them. You don't have to do all this work.
Get
How
some,
did you
got
do
'em.
that, Mick?
get some
amazing.
tomatoes and put them like on the plant that like just fell.
Right,
down.
yes.
Like, wow,
Man,
they
these
just
are
fell
amazing.
off. Apparently,
They have stickers on them too. It's crazy.
Wow.
Just zip tie them or like one of those whatever those ties are.
How do
that
they
you used to
make-
do with sandwich bags or whatever they do
You know,
with a loaf of
tomatoes
bread.
grew with a barcode on them. That's crazy.
This is weird. I thought does the barcode just grow and that's what they sell it for in that area? I always thought they were priced specific to that area, but I guess it's just how they're grown with barcodes.
It's big
I wonder how much
tomato.
I can get for this one.
Big tomato, baby.
Big tomato is really
Big ketchup
getting-
industry. It's the Hunts and it's all of the
Heinzes.
the Heinzes and the Hunts.
If you have an
are-
H, you're a tomato guy.
That's right. That's exactly
Heirlooms,
right.
the heirloom family.
Yes, we like tomatoes, Mick. We like growing tomatoes. It's fun. It's a hobby. Okay, it's something we do. Okay, the kids like doing it. All right. Why are you judging me?
Well, because I don't like A, tomatoes, and B, doing work like that. So that's why. Those two reasons.
Well, the kids grow the tomatoes. He grows.
Other stuff.
He's like that's the kid stuff. This is daddy's plants.
These are daddy
over here.
plants.
I grow frustration by when they're not growing enough, and the kids just get to hang out and take part in eating the tomatoes, which is perfectly fun. It's all good. Did you have a good weekend, Mick? What'd you do on Friday?
I went to Firekeeper. Still stay and play all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Good for you.
It was.
So you weren't at Guns N' Hoses.
I was
weekend?
not, but my video was. Did you hear about that? Did they put that out there?
No.
They shot a video for me because I've hosted it before with Steven St. John. I don't know if Steven did it this year as well or not.
Steven did it this year.
Yeah, and so
I didn't know that you weren't a part of it. They said it was a record crowd, so that makes sense.
That does make sense. 41, we're a big sponsor of it, and so they put together some promotional video for it. And we did last couple of years. Kevin and I were in a ring boxing and stuff. Lee Zach a couple of years ago was the referee, and it was fun. So this year, the video that they put out to promote it, but also they play it inside the arena there at Guns N' Hoses. It was me catching Kevin on a treadmill, which first of all it's fiction, right? Right off the bat, this isn't going to be a true video. And so he's like, "Hey, you going to be going to Guns N' Hoses tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, that's right. That's my favorite band." And I turn and run. He's like, no, not the band. And he doesn't catch me in time. And so then I get decked out in this Guns N' Roses Axl Rose outfit, right, with long hair and a cutoff shirt and shades and a bandana and a bunch of other stuff.
Leather pants?
No leather pants. I don't know. I think I might have just had shorts on. As maybe a shot from most of the shot from the waist up. And then I'm in the newsroom, like rocking on a guitar, and of course I can't play guitar, but they put some real guitar sounds in there, and I'm bugging people because I'm just rocking out, and I have no idea it's Guns N' Hoses, not Guns N' Roses, and so then I leave the scene. It's like a 2-minute video, it's a little too long, but yeah. So that was my part in Guns N' Hoses, not being there.
Way to give back.
I love guns and I love hoses.
What's more believable? Well, I've got the hose for the garden for the tomatoes.
Yep.
If you would like to go and water the tomatoes,
not those hoses, the ones you put over your face to rob a bank. Those are the hoses I like.
That makes total sense. Yes, you and Chiefsaholic.
That's right.
You
Big Guns N' Hoses guy. That guy
That'd be a really good robber name. We're the Guns N' Hoses because you have guns and then you have the hoses.
That's right. Yeah,
for your,
like the Wet Bandits.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you leave your calling card. You don't have to really announce yourself. It's like, oh, Guns and Hoses are here. I guess go ahead and get the money. What's more believable, you playing a guitar or Kevin on a treadmill?
They're both science fiction, buddy, right there.
Yeah, I didn't know what you would go with there. So, but that's awesome. Good weekend for you. That's cool. I had a fun weekend driving. But you know what? We're all in the same place now. We're all on the show talking some sports, just really enjoying ourselves with how the Royals are playing right now. That's great.
Boy.
We got Game 7 with Stanley Cup tonight. That's great.
It's amazing.
We got the Game 3 of the College World Series tonight, where the SEC, no matter what, is going to win their 5th straight College World Series.
This means more.
I
prefer to phrase it.
First ever.
They're about to lose the College World Series tonight. That's how I want to phrase it.
That's exactly right. They keep losing these College World Series. Somebody tonight will win their first ever College World Series for their program.
Wait. Is that right?
Yeah,
neither team has won?
Yep.
Tennessee hasn't won yet?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. So
they're actually the only team that's been, and the last time they went was the 50s.
What is our guy, the intern Trey? Is he going to be at the game since he's going there?
That's actually a good question. I'll text him.
Unless he gets drafted and decides to go straight to pro ball.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. But he'll be there next year. Dylan Dreiling for Tennessee from Hayes, Kansas. That was an interesting matchup I was watching. I pointed out to my son when it was happening. It was 1 on, and I think there were 2 outs with Caden Wilson on the mound for A&M. Ray Peck, brother, played at Ray Peck and with the Mets for a while. So he's a freshman at A&M. He's on the mound versus Dylan Dreiling from Hayes, Kansas. And I'm like, hey, buddy, both these people. I'm like, Hayes is a little further away, but Ray Peck, that's right around the corner from where Mommy was. And then, ping, 2-run shot off of Cade. I'm like, oh, that hurt. I was rooting for Tennessee. I would have rather seen it happen off somebody else besides a local kid. I was rooting for Tennessee because I'm not rooting for either side tonight. I just wanted to see the third game. I just wanted to see the deciding game tonight. So I wanted Tennessee to win yesterday so we can see what happens tonight with all hands on deck, every pitcher available. And you've got some MLB top players like Dylan Dreiling's a top 70 MLB prospect. You've got the second baseman for Tennessee that's going to be a top 10 pick. Jace Lavlet up for A&M, might be the number 1 pick next year in the draft. So there's a lot of talent out there on the field. Shocker, they're playing in the College World Series, and there's talented players that could be playing in the majors soon. So
It's weird how that works.
It's crazy how that works. Like, it's almost like when we watch college basketball, like there's a number of players playing in college uniforms that we'll see in the NBA one day as they're playing in the Final Four and championship. It's really weird.
We're at the point now where the SEC is more dominant in baseball and softball than they are in football. Right? They're still the best football conference,
wrong.
but I mean,
that's a good point.
I mean, they are, especially softball, right? Hands
now
down.
They're adding Texas and Oklahoma.
Exactly, and they're adding those two in softball. Matters a little bit in baseball, but in softball that matters a lot. And so, what was baseball? It was it 4 SEC and 4 ACC teams this College World Series?
The only shot is when the Big Ten gets all those West Coast schools, if they have with
Oregon
pairings,
State,
their teams.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
They needed to bring Oregon State just for the baseball,
can we have you just for baseball?
For the College World Series, you know? Can we add that? Come on now, that'd be great. Dylan Dry is still rooting for him, even though he chose Tennessee over Missouri. Seems like a mistake to me. I don't know why he's. I mean, yes, he's in the position he is right now. Going to be drafted in the first, couple days of the Major League Baseball draft. Could win a College World Series this year. But imagine if he was at Columbia.
He wouldn't.
Imagine if he was at Mizzou.
He might win the World Series tonight. Wouldn't have made the SEC tournament had he gone to the other school.
I'm just saying, people choose something that whatever is right for them.
Or maybe he would have propelled them into the SEC tournament. And
I think they might have needed more.
Yeah.
Although he's a phenomenal player, I think they might have needed a little bit more than just him. But that was a cool matchup, and a couple local guys going up against each other in a game like that. But again, I'd have rather seen the 2-run shot happen against somebody else rather than freshman from Ray Peck and Caden Wilson. But he's got a big career ahead of him as just being a freshman and pitching there at A&M and pitching in Game 2 of the World Series. I mean, they put him in a crucial spot because the dude's really good. So he's going to be around for a while there at A&M. But I'm pumped, man. College World Series, I love it, and we get a Game 3 tonight. And so we get a lot. It's also, we see, the money that goes on in college, and teams are investing more and more money in the college game. So I think we're actually seeing more and more talent. And maybe it's just anecdotal, but I think we're seeing so many more guys that are drafted, in the top 10 to 15 picks of the draft that are college.
Paul Skeens.
College. Paul Skeens, pitching in it last year. One of the guys from Wake Forest that is going to be a top 5 pick. I forget his name right now. It's escaping me. But, he's a guy that, chose Wake Forest because of, like, the pitching development department. Like, they've got an entire department at Wake Forest for, just simply pitching and mechanics. And it's, like, world-renowned. And Major League Baseball is, like, copying off of what Wake Forest does. And that's at the college level. That's not even in the major level when you're talking about millions of dollars invested in these guys.
Yeah, and look, if this goes through with the NIL and all these schools having that NIL money coffers, right, and you can expand your scholarships, especially for baseball where they're sharing, 11 or whatever it is, that's only going to increase because these kids are going to look at it and like, okay, I could, go make money at Tennessee, be on TV a lot, be a big man on campus, have a great social life, right, stay there for 3 years, then get drafted. Or get drafted, go to Arizona for half a year, then Idaho for another year or two, and then maybe to Delaware or Wilmington and all over the place and be out of sight, out of mind. I would maybe get to the major leagues maybe a little bit quicker, but maybe at the same time, why don't I just go enjoy, make money there too? Maybe it's a little bit less, depends on the player. But I'm in one spot, and I'm on the radar too. I'm building a brand. People know me. People don't know the best, 20-year-old player who's in, Burlington or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But they do if he plays in the SEC.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if Florida was playing in this, we'd be talking about Caglianone.
Yeah,
that's going to be
talked about him last year.
Jack Toney.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, that's right. I mean, and Georgia's Charlie Condon that has 35 home runs this year with BB Core. bats, not the old ping that were the trampolines, right? And I wish, Braden Montgomery's a guy that the Royals may draft, but he's not playing for A&M because he broke his ankle in the Super Regionals against Oregon, where the third base coach just screwed him. I mean, just what the hell, man? Third base coach stopped him, and then all of a sudden waved him home. And then Braden, there's a play at the plate, and he tried to juke, and he plants his right leg, and it just gives out, and his ankle snaps. Oh, that sucks. But he's still going to be a top 10 pick. Like, he's that freaking good. Like, he's a stud. He might, be a guy that comes to the Royals. But that would have been awesome to see him play and be like, oh, hey, this guy might be drafted by the Royals. At least they changed that part to where the draft isn't taking place while the postseason's going on. Like, we're not watching players in the draft in the College World Series. That it's like, hey, the Royals took this
it used
guy
to
in
be
the fourth
early
round.
June.
He's pitching.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like at least it's not that to where guys are trying to win a College World Series while also going through the draft process and everything. And the combine's going on right now, so the guys that are playing in this don't get to participate in the combine. But still, I mean, it's at least it's good from that standpoint.
Got the kid from K-State that combine, Culpepper. He really raised his stock this year.
The top 9 prospects, according to MLB.com, are all college kids. Oregon State, Georgia, Florida, Wake Forest, Arkansas, West Virginia, A&M.
I mean, to
and
make
a couple of high school kids, then East Carolina, then Wake Forest, Florida State, LSU, Florida State, Oklahoma State, North Carolina. Like, yeah, it's and maybe that's just this year, right? Last year there were a couple of stud high school guys that went in the top, but we're seeing a lot more of that college impact.
Yeah, why would you go to why would you go to the minors when you can do the almost exact same thing, better facilities, more money through NIL, and you get the college experience as well?
And there's less and less spots and less teams in the minor leagues now, right? It used to be a 50-round draft that's now down to, is it down to 10?
Yeah, and you're competing with the Dominican Republic and other countries as
20.
well.
20 now.
Yeah.
As well. The NBA draft's different this year. They're the second round's a day later and in the middle of the afternoon. You guys know that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, separating
this
the
week.
first and second round, like being more NFL,
NFL,
like Major
like
League Baseball,
drawing this thing
now
out.
having the first round.
Well, the
and
NBA
then,
playoffs wasn't long enough.
That's
they
true,
had to
yes.
really.
Yeah, let's draw it out.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Game 5 at the NBA Finals. I'm so pumped for this to happen. Is that in a month now? Has somebody won it yet? Or Celtics up 3-1 still? I'm not sure.
I do like it in that there are so many draft night trades with the NBA. 2 rounds. It's so tough to get your arms around. I'm trying to remember everything that happened. Okay, let's just cut off at one round, digest it, because a lot of times that night and the next day there's more trades. Get those over with. Go to the second round, and I can remember better who's going to which team.
Who was it for? Was it
Kobe?
Darrell
He was
Arthur?
drafted by the Hornets. That's who you're thinking of.
No, but
He
like
ended up going to the
was it
Lakers.
No, but was it Darrell Arthur that had like 4 hats in one night? Like when he got drafted, he got traded like 4 different times.
There's been lots of guys like that. Yeah,
I know, but it was a local guy, so I just remember it being, the local impact of like he's on 4 teams. Like I went to sleep and he had been traded twice. Then I woke up and he's on a different team already. How did that happen? Darrell Arthur, selected by the Hornets with the 27th overall pick, traded to the Trailblazers for cash. Trailblazers traded Arthur to the Houston Rockets for the rights to the 25th overall pick, and then the Houston Rockets traded him to the Memphis Grizzlies.
that was all in one night.
That was one night.
Imagine your reaction. All right, I'm going to New Orleans. Okay,
Yeah.
Portland. I like the Northeast. Okay,
Houston.
now I'm going to Houston. Oh, I like Houston. Now Memphis. Beale Street. We got Beale Street.
It's wise, and they've wised up on the broadcast, right? That's why afterward they asked them more about their journey and what this means to them and their family and the dead relative they did a 2-minute story on, right, for all these kids. Like, tell me the worst experience of her life. Okay, that's going to be the topic of our preview story on you guys. And so they don't ask, like, what are you excited about going to L.A.? Don't do that, because in an hour you might be going to New York.
Yeah, ignore the hat they're wearing. Just ignore the hat that they're wearing, because that does not matter.
You made the
in any way, shape,
NBA.
or
We
form.
do know you're going to be in the NBA still tomorrow. Just
Dude,
talk about that.
The worst one, and the one I remember the most, Sterling, you would remember, Michael Bridges.
Yep.
Drafted by the 76ers, and they interviewed his mom who worked for the 76ers,
That's right.
and 10 minutes later he was traded to the Suns.
Yeah, it was Tania. She was the head of HR, VP of HR. Tania, lovely lady. She was awesome. I knew her pretty well. Like just HR, of course, me getting sent there all the time. No,
Shocker.
not actually. She was actually just a very nice person. She was always around just the front office, and so decent friends there. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so happy for you.
Philly kid too, Villanova. Right?
We're like so happy for you. Your son is going to where you work. And then that same night traded for who was
Straight
it?
to the Suns.
To the Suns.
Zaire Smith?
Zaire Smith, who I think is now out of the NBA, which Michael Bridges is a very good ball player.
Perfectly fine trade.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. You messed up Ben Simmons. You messed up Markelle Fultz. You made two guys for either one just refused to shoot, and the second one you made sure he learned how to unshoot. Like they're like, hey, you know how you can shoot in college? Yeah, do the opposite of that. And then they decided, let's draft a good player. But we don't want to ruin
sounds like
you.
they did the Bridges family a favor.
Exactly. They said, we don't want to ruin you. So, quite frankly, the Sixers maybe did the right thing by...
Maybe Tania stepped in and was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I know what goes on here. I got all the files.
Yeah.
I know how we ruin players around here.
That was also in the same time as the Brian Colangelo. Not only did he have the wild shirts with the collars that made him look like he was from like the 1800s, he also had like his wife or someone with like a burner account, and then he had to step down for some tweets and stuff. That was a wild era of
trust the process.
I don't trust it.
It's all about the process.
They haven't won bleep.
I thought the process was fine. I think the implementation of the acquiring the assets was the issue.
I feel like that's still part of the process.
Was not the problem.
Yeah.
I know. Acquiring the assets not the problem.
It's a subset of the process.
Drafting a guy who hates basketball and Ben Simmons was probably, in hindsight, not a good idea.
Yeah. Trading Tyreek Hill, I like the process of that and the philosophy behind it. Getting Trent McDuffie and Karlaftis and the guys you got from that draft, hey, that's even better. Get Kyer Elam and other guys in that draft. It's like, you're so dumb. How do you trade Tyreek Hill? Well, using the picks you acquire is vital. Mick, you are absolutely right. It's part of the process. Some would say it might be the most important part of the process. It's actually.
I pay attention to the result. That's the only thing. I like the result.
How do you use those assets?
I don't really get in the weeds. I just like the result. Whatever you do.
Did you get it? I mean, you got it right? Okay, very good. I don't know how you did it. Doesn't matter. Like, the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes. Oh, that's awesome. Good for them. Well, what they did was, I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Hated that they traded Tyreek Hill. Loved that they won Super Bowls after that, though.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure how or what happened to color in the middle there between the two, but I like the things that happened after that.
Yeah, I lead an incredibly busy life. I can't pay attention to everything. But the results, I'll look at those.
That's right. Mick Schaefer, sports director of KSHB 41.
Casual sports fan at best.
Is our guest. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll see what we learned, what the funniest and what the best from the weekend was. More right after this. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, hanging out with us. Heading up until 2 o'clock. Don't forget, tonight we've got the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, Edmonton in Florida. 3 games apiece.
USA.
Oilers, Edmonton. Let's go Oilers
So close
tonight.
to July 4th and Independence Day, and you're out here rooting for
it's
another
not,
country.
Though. Is it July 4th, though?
We're like 10 days, we're 2 weeks away, and you're rooting for an entire different
so
country.
It's not July 4th. Oh, so it's not July 4th?
Grow up, man.
I didn't know there are hockey teams left in Canada. There's not that many.
I'd rather there be hockey teams in Canada than southeastern United States.
I agree.
Why do you guys?
But I will be.
hockey
I will be
doesn't make
cheering
sense.
for the United States.
Thank you, Mick. You
What?
are.
Well, say thank you correctly, and I'll high five you.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks.
Why? What did he? How did he say it? I don't
The thank you. Oh my God.
This is
The-
Mick's
Thank
pet
you.
peeve. I say thank
It
you.
is. Yeah, it should be
Thank.
everybody's
Thank.
pet peeve.
Thank.
is
It's from
thank
ZZ
a
Top,
word?
and I thank you. You know, like ZZ Top does
Well,
that.
he
thing.
said it correctly.
No, he
There
said
it
it.
is.
It sounded fine.
That's where I get it from. I don't know.
He says, and I thank you.
Nobody's ever said that way before.
No.
Thank.
Never heard it before. Thank. It's weird. Very weird.
Sorry, okay. I have the Southern Indiana in me.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Tonight,
Southern Indiana, that's not a thing. That's in the
Right.
middle of
Louisville.
the United States.
Well, they got that.
Southern Indiana
They got
is
a little-
is Louisville.
It's
one of the
Louisville. They
same-
got a little
Yes.
something going on.
I've never heard thank you.
Yeah, no, that's not a thing.
I lived here for 10 years. Never said.
We never got out of your
heard
house, Jason.
That's true. I never, ever got out. For 10 years, I just lived. Somehow met my wife.
But he had
by
lots of
never
people
leaving the
calling
house.
on the phone, callers, and he never heard him say it that way.
No, not once did they say, all right, thank you. Well, they didn't say thank you, but still, never heard him say it either way. Tonight on Sports Radio 810, coming up 7 o'clock, it is Game 7, Edmonton and Florida, and the chance for an absolute historic comeback. Be the first time since 1942 in the NHL that coming back from 3 games to nothing.
In the finals,
which
correct?
In the
'Cause
finals,
it's happened
yes. That's
other times.
Yep, it has happened, but never happening in Major League Baseball or in the NBA, coming back from 3 games to nothing. There have been some 3-1s, including 1985.
Wait, it happened in
championships.
baseball, didn't it? In
Just
2000
not in this.
No, that
not
was
in
the ALCS.
Yeah, not
Oh,
the
that was
finals, not-
ALCS. Yeah,
not
that
the
was
World
Red
Series.
Sox Yankees. Yeah.
That was the first time.
the World
That was the first
Series.
time. Period. It happened.
Was that
in baseball.
04?
Yeah, in baseball. 04. Yep. But the Royals did it in '85. They came back from 3-1 in both the ALCS
Practically
and
the
World
same
Series.
thing.
I mean, right? The ALCS and the World Series. They were like, you know what? It's so nice. We're going to do it twice. Okay. Tell you that. And they did it against a team that clearly was worse than them. So you wanted them to win because it would have been bad if they would have blown that series against a much inferior opponent. So that's tonight on our sister station. It is the College World Series Game 3, Tennessee against Texas A&M. Let's see what we learned from the weekend. Learn funniest best. We go around, each of us telling us something that we learned from the weekend, what the funniest from the weekend was, and the best from the weekend. So what I learned is that, it's been a long time since I've driven a car with technology that's really nice technology in it. In fact, long time as in never. My own. Had an 04 Honda Accord, and then, my wife has a 2011 car. The best thing about them is that, no car payments, which is great. So we bought a new vehicle to make our travels a little safer when we go around in the car, and especially long distance trips. This thing called adaptive cruise control, Mick and Sterling.
Gotta watch that thing.
I mean, unbelievable. I learned how pretty badass that was. Let me just set this cruise control, and all of a sudden, just cars in front of me. This guy's going 90. It's staying with them. Hey, cop, that's that guy's fault right there. Going down to 75. Hey, we're going 75 now. That's fine. I'll just follow this particular guy wherever he goes. It was nice. It was a really nice feature. Had no idea if I would like it or not. Actually enjoyed it. I may hate it eventually, but right now, first trip, I'm like, that's we slowed down to see. I'm behind, especially in construction zones, right? When you don't want to have to speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. Just right behind the car in front of me, set that adaptive cruise control, and then it just keeps the pace with the car there. It's perfect. Loved it. That's what I learned, is that I had been missing out on that for a long time.
So it speeds you up with the car in front of you too. Doesn't
It
just
does.
slow you down.
It stays. It
Don't
stays
get
with
behind
the pace.
Rashee Rice. Do not get behind
Well,
Rashee.
but I won't. I'm not going to set my cruise control for 120. If the car pulls away, it's going to pull away. It only goes to what you set it at. But if the car in front of you was going under that speed limit, well, then it's going to slow down with that.
Yeah, I
And as
hate
the
that.
car then
I hate
pulls
that
away,
part. We have that.
Yeah.
The slow down
Well,
part. Because
see,
and you can adjust it to like how close.
You can.
Yeah.
Because you want to give a love tap.
No, I don't want if you have all 3 bars on that thing, if you have all 3 bars, I mean you could be 200
You're a
feet
mile
away
away.
and it's going to start slowing you down. I'm like, all right, I don't need this.
There's a deer in the woods a mile and a half away. It's going to slow you down to the pace that the deer is going. There are times when I had it on and I'm just sitting there driving and I look down. I'm like, holy bleep! I'm only going 70 in a 70. The hell! Damn car in front of me. There were a couple times like that, but it was nice for an 8.5-hour drive. It came in handy, I'll tell you that much. What'd you learn, Sterling?
I learned that people don't understand jokes, real life conversations, or they don't know how to read. So I had a TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok guy, but I'm like, I'll try doing a TikTok. Really put my first TikTok out there, and it got 2.4 million views. So now I think I'm a TikTok guy.
You got 2.4 million views?
Yeah. I think it's my name's Sterling Holmes KC. If anyone listening, I don't know.
He was doing one of those dances.
I interviewed that Kylie Kelsey and the interview I had, and just a clip of just basically asking what was it like the first time you met Travis. Just joking around, considering Travis is a little bit out there.
Yeah.
He likes to have fun, and so I just jokingly ask a question like that. Well, I have so many comments that are like, "Wow, how dare you ask such a sleazy question?" And I'm like,
did you ask it in a sleazy way?
no.
How'd you ask? Let me hear it. Let me hear the tone.
I asked, so you're dating Jason. Things are going pretty good, right?
Ooh,
and now all of a
that's
sudden
kinda
you
sleazy.
get to meet his brother, Travis. What was that first experience like?
Wow. You went there.
Sleazy. Can't believe I did that. As I have an ESPN Kansas City sign behind me. They're like, why would you ask her a sports question? Like I'm just sitting here like, can you read the room, folks? Literally read the room, because on the wall behind me says ESPN
Yeah, it's
Kansas
true.
City.
You're literally
You
reading the room.
literally can read the room here, and I just love it. They're like, "How dare you?" And you shouldn't have to make her feel that way. I'm like, she's laughing. We had a very lovely conversation. We conversed very well, and we both left that interview enjoying ourselves.
So did you post the
far as
whole
you know.
interview, or did
I
you
have
post
the whole
just?
interview,
But you
that
posted
clip,
just
that clip. But I have the whole interview too.
What percentage of the interaction with you was negative?
0.
No. Of the people posting, what percentage was negative?
About the comments, probably
comments.
about 20%, 1 in 5.
Okay.
And I was just shocked by the fact that, and I learned people get so upset, and they're not even involved in the conversation. They're
feel like you
upset
should've
on
learned that a
someone
long time
else's
ago.
behalf,
Yeah.
and I find that
you just learned that people
fascinating.
are getting offended on behalf of other people that don't care if they're offended.
And I was fascinated by
realizing
that.
that?
Yeah. I was just laughing really hard. I'm like, how do you take time out of your day to be upset on someone else's behalf? And I thought it was.
Well, I feel like that's
especially
part of the
something
job
as
as a
benign
sports
as
talk
that.
radio host too.
Yeah,
or the
it's
moment you put your email and password into any social media websites, like, account sign up page, that is what you are, the cross you kind of bear. Is like,
Oh,
hey,
no. I don't
have
care.
to-
I find it very funny. My point was I was laughing that someone could, people took it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's,
You're subscribing social media in general.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to look at this, and I might be one
I
in
gotta check it
5.
out.
Yeah, I might have a negative comment.
Okay. Go ahead.
We'll see.
There's some good ones. There's some good ones in there.
I'm gonna ask a negative comment like, why did you ask it so nice? What's the point? Why don't you actually? You know what? Hey, how about this, host? Why don't you ask what you really want to ask? I see you beating around the bush with this. Why don't you ask what you really want to ask? Did she prefer to date Travis? That's what you really want to ask.
I actually had one of those. Someone says,
Sleazy?
"How dare you infer that she chose the lesser of the brothers?" And I'm like, "What?"
Okay, I was just joking.
I'm like,
around.
"No, that's my point. That was why I was so befuddled, if you will."
Do you have other commenters coming to your?
Not many. I have some that are like
Got your back,
she's
no?
a queen, or like they should be the first lady, and A shocking one was better than Stafford's wife or something like that. TikTok's a wild place, guys. That was my first and one of my last probably TikTok. I don't know.
I don't get the Stafford. Hey, Kelly Stafford, I don't get it.
She seems awesome.
Do you not know what people do in high school and college? You date other people. She didn't say she cheated on him. She's like, I dated someone else to make him mad. There's a lot of people that do that all the time.
I agree.
I've never heard of that before.
I just don't need to go on a podcast.
You've never heard of that?
I'm married.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. I don't know. Or maybe she's so secure in the relationship. Like, yeah, we joke. You know,
She's
I dated other people.
She is definitely secure.
Just the self-righteousness. I had already learned that, but that exists.
Yeah,
too
I didn't
on
really.
the internet.
I learned that, so that's what I learned.
I
And
learned
the
that
reading
about Matt
part because they
Stafford's wife,
literally
too.
couldn't read the room. I thought that was pretty
good.
That was pretty good. I like that line. Literally read the room. Mick, what'd you learn this weekend?
I learned never bet, never gamble sober again. I gotta have some pops in me. Both days, 18 holes of golf. You go to the pool for a while. You look at the scorecard. You're paying out the money, all that stuff, and then you go have dinner. Then you go to the sports book there. Great sports book, great setup there at Firekeeper, and apparently placed a couple bets. And then the next morning, Saturday morning, I looked. I'm like, oh, I bet the Oilers. I'm like, they win. Like, yeah, the Oilers won. There we go. Sunday morning, I'm digging in my pockets. I'm like, wait, I bet Dodgers money line, parlayed that with over 8.5 runs. What's the score? 7-2, Dodgers win. I'm like, there we go.
Wow.
That was it.
Heater.
Don't remember
Heater.
betting what you bet. That's probably horrible gambling advice right there, but that's what I took away. That's what I learned from
I was
this
about
week.
to say, are we legally
yes.
obligated to do the 1-800
should probably throw out
Do what Mick
phone number.
did.
Yeah. But if you see my track record betting sober, it's not good.
I also noticed in that conversation when you said yourself when you were handing out money to the winners. So I assume you lost at Firekeeper.
No.
You won.
Yeah.
You won money.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were just gracious in how you worded that. You made it seem like you were the one that was handing out money at the end of the round.
No, it's pretty organized. we had it enveloped up and already, and everybody donated, and so you just the organizers were handing them out to people.
Congratulations,
Thank
Mick.
you.
Yeah.
And by the way, on that betting thing, and I hope I'm not taking away somebody's learned or funniest or best, but the guy that had the ticket that was out there that bet $10,000 after Game 3 on the Panthers to win at -8,000.
That was me. Sober
to win $120.
Yeah,
it's like I'll make a quick 100. I mean, it's never happened before. They're up 3 games to nothing. They win
I didn't
any
know
of the
somebody
next
had
4
done
games
that to make
like,
$120.
like $120. Yeah, that seems like really dumb. Like there are other ways to make. You're in Vegas. There, I can tell you some ways to make $120.
Here's a great way. If you take those
10,000.
same numbers and just switch them around, bet 120 to win 10,000. That makes sense.
Yeah. Put the money on the Oilers, and it seems like that would make more sense.
Yes.
So yeah, I didn't know if maybe that was you when you were sober and drunk.
Right.
And Dry made $7,000 sober. I lost $10,000, but I'm now realizing how I'm a great gambler. What did you learn this weekend, Dylan?
So I learned that Satchel Paige was not the only guy that was naming his pitches other than the fastball, curveball stuff. Assad for the Cubs threw a pitch that hit Lindor in the gluteus maximus and donned the nickname of this pitch here.
Of the Cubs will go out to the mound.
It's a Forrest Gump cutter.
So I thought that was hilarious. It's
I like that.
obviously we all know where it hits him now. If you didn't know what gluteus maximus
Right
meant.
in the buttocks.
Yes, sir.
The doctor said it was $1 million pitch, but I ain't seen a penny of that.
Well
$1 million.
played. Well played.
Right in the buttocks. What was the funniest for you from the weekend, Sterling?
Funniest was I'm really good at remembering to put on sunscreen, but I'm really, really bad at actually applying it to myself. Like, I'll remember to put it on, right? But when I put it on, I don't realize where exactly I'm putting it on. Now, you're not here, Jason. I'm about to go tarps off again in the studio, so Mick, get a good look.
No, you're
He's
not.
shaking.
No, you're not.
You don't want to see it?
Enjoy that.
You take your shirt off?
I'll take it off to show you the tan line. It's really funny.
Can you just raise it real quick?
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, take the whole thing off.
So I got
you don't have to raise it.
I
Yeah,
got a
right there.
nice little line, almost like what would you call that?
The best
Diagonal
news
line.
is the camera can't see any of this. So
Good.
Yeah.
Diagonal line here, and then I got one right there.
Yeah. Thanks for showing me your nipple.
Well,
So
it's
what's,
on the nipple. I got one burnt nipple and
how
one.
does it take a memory? Don't you apply it right after you put it on? It's not like you wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I did good job. I did a good job putting it on. Like I went golfing, put it on me. I went to the pool, put it on me.
Apparently not.
No. I put it on, but only in certain spots. Apparently, apparently I just don't know how to rub it in or use the spray thing right because I have like 4 other burns on my back that are like circles and stuff too. So
remember last week when we said there are people that invent ways to take their shirts off, and you said no, that's
Mick,
not me.
You beat me to it. I mean, honestly, Jason, when you see the sunburn
Yeah.
and you think to yourself like how you apply sunscreen on your own chest, you'll kind of get mixed vibe here of like maybe this seems a little premeditated because there's just
why
a
would I
stripe.
want to get burnt?
I mean, you don't want to get burnt.
Yeah, you want to take your shirt off. That's
if I
the
wanted
deal.
to take my shirt off, it'd be off right now, boys. It'd be
did.
off right now.
You did.
Yeah, you've done it twice.
Twice.
Like the last
No,
2
but
times.
my point
you've
was-
wanted it and you've done it.
I'm a
I
man
even
who knows
warned
what he
you
wants.
that the camera wasn't on you, so that you maybe didn't do it.
All I'm saying is I had a weird tan line. I thought it was funny that I have a very weird tan line now of a
It's kind
stripe.
of like Cards Against Humanity.
I have a
That was-
racing
that was-
stripe.
Wait, that was
It's a racing
the,
stripe.
That was the funniest thing.
Well, I
ever?
didn't have
what I'm
anything
saying.
funny happen to me. Well, sorry, I can't lie.
It's like
Not
Cards
fake
Against
news.
Humanity, where you play to the crowd, not yourself, is what's funny. So yeah,
You're gone all week, Jason.
Yep.
What do you want from me? I
Just clothes on.
Clothes on, tarps on. It's just, what do you want
Clothes
from me?
on.
All of your clothes to be on and jackets zipped up. with
You
no underwear.
guys are so
Am I asking a
prude,
lot?
and it blows my mind.
Am I
I
asking
think
too
we're
much?
normal.
Is that right?
We've all seen sunburns. You could have just said I got a crazy
I have
sunburn.
one on my back right now because there's one stripe where
Yeah.
you cannot.
It's kind of funny. It's like a racing stripe. It's nice. Just funny and sorry that.
And not once was I willing to or wanting to.
You had no impulse to do
No,
that, did you?
No, not really. No.
Sterling's just taking his shirt off, trying to get you guys to see his landing strip. What was the funniest for you, Mick?
The protesters being tackled on the 18th green yesterday at the Travelers. God, they're the worst. They don't care about sending any sort of message across. They just want to ruin your day, and they tried their best at it. And I think there should be the players should be allowed to use their clubs, right? If that happens again, and it would not happen anymore if you got like a 5-iron out, started going down on one of these fools.
No, just
So-
let security do it. Like security
Back
runs on.
in the day with football and baseball guys, they would clothesline him, and now you can't. Lawyers and stuff. But I would love to see Scheffler just swing away.
Mike Curtis.
Swing away, Merrill.
Do you think he still has a Scheffler shuffle when he's swinging? the
He
club
pulls
at-
his,
he pulls his back.
his back foot slips. Yeah.
By the way, has anything ever changed when these people go and protest these things? Has
No.
anyone there
Is anybody's
see
mind
it?
like, I agree more with them now?
Yeah, anyone there who's a fan?
Because they blocked traffic all day.
Whoever's a patron there, you think they're just like, you know what? I think you're correct, guys.
I was on the fence.
I was close. Now they're like, you know what? I was gonna bike to work. I'm taking my car.
Yeah.
I'm taking my car now.
There was I saw the tweet because Aaron Borgman on Twitter tweeted out because somebody was breaking down the tackle from the officer. So the officer did a great job not leading with the crown to avoid the flag. And he goes, Aaron was like, well, this is going to be a flag in the fourth quarter in the NFL. And then another response was roughing the passer. Full body weight landed on him.
I thought it was weird that
I did like that.
I thought it was weird that one of the cops just ran right out there and arrested Scotty Scheffler.
It was odd. It's like Scheffler's like, I'm supposed to be here, right? I mean, no, you're not actually.
My pants are ripped.
It's $80 pants. You're not
You
going
know,
to.
they got them from Kohl's.
Do you think the
so-
protesters now have to pay for the pants of the cops? Because Scotty
There
had to
better
pay for
be
those,
some
so I
restitution
think-
for all that. Yeah, and the green.
Honestly,
Oh,
yeah, that's
Right?
pretty.
Picture divot from that guy's shoulder going in, getting driven into the turf by
Poor,
by the officer.
poor Batia, too, right? Just had a tough back nine, and then they're going to move his ball to putt between pink and white grass stains from smoke bombs.
I had to hit it off Frankenstein's fast.
All he wanted to do was get
lands.
off the course. He had great tournament. You finished fifth. All he wanted to do was get off the course, and he has to sit there for 15 more minutes before he putts. Yeah. So that's the funniest for me.
Yeah. What was the funniest for you, Dylan?
The funniest for me, I had it and I lost it. I apologize.
Oh, that's fine. No, it was knee slapper, I think. Probably.
Yeah, it's really killing right now.
Yeah.
The funniest for me was LT's response to Kayvon Thibodeau. He asked him how many sacks he had last year, and Kayvon Thibodeau said, I had a pretty good year at 11.5, to LT's response being, what'd you play, 3 games?
Pretty good.
Oh, man.
So,
well, then it would actually be even more impressive. He had 11.5 sacks in 3 games, though.
That's
so,
sort of
the joke just flew.
Just
50 feet over your head.
Lawrence Taylor.
That was basically
really good
his average.
Sacking quarterbacks and stuff, I think is what he was going with. I mean, my funniest. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on, guys. You know what the funniest from the weekend was? I mean, it took over everything. Come on, you know what the funniest from the weekend was? Hawk Tua. I mean, come on, man.
Tua and spit on that thing.
Oh, my God. No, we could talk about that here.
Oh my God!
We already have.
I didn't even realize what I was. I was just talking about the Royals moving on from the Rangers, and I was talking to Sterling, and I'm like, look, you put it behind you, Hawk Tua spit on that thing, you just move on. And then Sterling let me know that was actually something on the internet. I'm like, well, I was just saying it just randomly.
And she was talking about how you like inflate like a soccer ball or a basketball when it's flat.
Well,
so.
and I said it was actually
a sports show.
3-2 count, right? You're at the
Spit
play, and the ball was just outside, and you
I know you're teeing me up
to
for this. I'm not playing it again. I've already.
What?
I think I have 3 strikes. So.
No, you're fine. That's
you
baseball.
Fouled
you're
it
out.
off, baby.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Dylan. It's not 3 strikes because that 3-2 pitch was a ball, and you know what you did?
Ah, you're right. I'm still not doing it.
Damn it. Oh, the memes and the songs. The Hallelujah song.
Hallelujah song was really good.
Hallelujah song.
Half Cherokee and Hawk Tua was a good one.
Half Cherokee and Hawk Tua. So good. Yeah, the internet was at its best this weekend. It was absolutely at its best this weekend. So, yeah, that's an obvious. Come on, guys. That was the obvious
somebody
one.
sent out the meme of Ben Affleck when he's out back, like smoking a cigarette, just eyes closed, looking up. They're like the Hawk Tua girl's father right now.
They did the Kendall Roy when he had God, it was season. I can't remember which season it was when he had lost. All right, he knew he had lost it, and that he wasn't going to be able to take over, and he was out, and it shows him walking down the hallway, leaving the studio, and he's just staring into the abyss, and it was Hawk Tua's dad, the 50th time he's seen the video. Yeah, that was rough. She was throwing her fastball. I mean, that whole thing, like she was.
Bless her.
She was bringing the heat on that interview, man. Anyway, what was the best for you, Mick?
The best for me was Travis Kelce on stage with Taylor Swift in London, and somebody tweeted out that Travis has now performed on the biggest stage with both Saunders brothers. Colin and the dancer out there was Colin's brother.
That. Yep. That's right. I love that so much. That's great. That's great. Dylan, what was the best for you from the weekend?
The best for me is the Vladimir Guerrero picture that someone took as he's about to take the field in Toronto. It's because the Space Needle is like right there with the Rogers Center as part of it's kind of like their Bartle Hall, I guess, in Toronto. Mm-hmm. There's an amazing shot. It's kind of shot from the ground. Everyone's probably seen it, but yeah, it's a great photo if you haven't seen it. Colton Hall on Twitter, @Colton Hall, is the man who took it and published it. He's been in the business for 7 years working for the MLB, and it's got 5.9 million views right now. It's definitely a background picture.
Oh, I see it right now. That's amazing. Oh my God! That's
it almost looks
picture.
fake or like AI.
Right. It looks like something you would just like throw in as like, hey, he's in Toronto.
Yes.
This guy's lives in. He plays for the Blue Jays, and here's how you know it. There's a Space Needle, or whatever. So that's pretty cool. The best for me, I'm with Mick. The best for me was just simply Kelce on stage and the Eras Tour. The tweet was pretty good. I didn't see that tweet, but Kelce on stage and just the fact that this guy a year ago, if he'd have got on stage, people in London would have been like, oh, this is part of the act, but didn't know who he was. Now he gets on stage. The crowd erupts. There's videos. They all know who Travis Kelce, the tight end of the Kansas City Chiefs, is all across the globe in the Eras Tour. I thought that's my best from the weekend. Sterling?
My dad winning the member guest with his best friend Sean at Iron Horse. They won the member guest at Iron Horse.
Some sticks out there.
So
good.
Nice.
Yeah, apparently he had a birdie. I think it was his 18 to send it into the horse race, and my dad birdied 18 to send it in, and then
horse races, man.
Yeah, so he got it from there. So shout out to my dad and his best friend Sean for winning that.
It's golf or was it a horse race or equestrian? What was he?
Equestrian, yeah. I believe that's right.
Yeah, that's nailed it. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue rolling, wrapping up this show. Hanging out with Mick Schaefer, KSHP 41 Sports Director. More Zone next.
I will go with Edmonton because I don't care and I just cheer for history, and that would be history.
That's right, yes. Sterling, you're going for the losing team tonight?
I cheer for history, and that's American history, which
I like
is
it. That's
history.
good.
So Florida, baby.
He's right.
Dylan?
Yeah, I'm going to go for the history with the guy that's best in the league right now, McDavid, all the way back.
Wait, who's Kachuk play for?
Florida.
I'm going to go Florida then. Him and Jason Tatum were best friends growing up. So we're a Celtics household.
Split 2-2. We'll see what ends up happening. I got the SEC winning the College World Series tonight.
Wow. Bold.